2 action here at the Atlantic 10 tournament as we welcome you inside the Barclays Center. Today, Fordham will face VCU for a spot in the A10 quarterfinals. Alongside Chris Persianen, I'm Miles Grossman. And Chris, today one of these 2 sets of Rams will have their season ended today.
Miles, the environment here is just incredible. You look at the crowd, bright yellow and maroon littered all throughout. These are 2 teams that know it's officially March. You either put up or shut up for good. This is how you write your story. You had so much practice throughout the season, so much time to work on who you are, but as Coach Ergo always says, Fordham's trying to be the best team they can be by the end of the season. That time is nigh, Miles, because it's right now.
And these VCU Rams enter this one at 19-12, 11-17 here in the A10. And it's a win or go home, Chris. Not a lot more pressure than today. The VCU Rams have lost 3 straight coming into today, and not a lot of momentum. But, Chris, before we tip, we got to sit down with Fordham men's basketball head coach Keith Ergo just about 30 minutes ago. Have a listen. So, Coach, a special win yesterday over Davidson. The team shoots 22.6% in the first half and then drops 42 in the second half. And, of course, pretty much near perfection in overtime. That's the type of win that makes you feel like anything is possible in March. What are the words to the team after the win, and what kind of discussions get had after a special day 1 victory?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I mean, honestly, this team is confident. They believed that it was a matter of time before the offense clicked. We really just focused on what we could control, and that's our effort and energy on the defensive end. And we just kept saying, look, at some point we're going to crack the code, start making some shots, start making some free throws. And once that happens, if we continue to defend and rebound the way that we have been, then we're tough to beat.
Coach, I don't know if I've seen you get more excited throughout the season than when Will Richardson makes a big defensive play. And we know the trust that you guys have in each other is paramount to the team's success. Talk about his season high yesterday and bringing that kind of performance out of him and the talent he brings to the table.
Yeah, I mean, it was a matter of time for Will. I mean, everybody knows what he did last year, and he loves this building as well. But, I mean, he's so talented, and he works so hard. Again, I've said this multiple times. He's one of the hardest working guys that I've ever been around. And now he's starting to just play basketball without really thinking about the offensive end. And, that part of my issue was I maybe put a little bit too much pressure on him to be a big-time scorer this year. As a result, he put a lot of pressure on himself. Now he's just going out. He's just trying to help the team win. And when you do that, next thing you know, you're not even thinking about the offensive end. Things just seem to click when you play the right way and you do the right things, which he constantly does.
I know that one of the sophomores, Josh Rivera, was particularly efficient at both ends yesterday. How important is it for you guys to get him going in that two-way sense?
Yeah, he's very similar. I mean, they're all similar. Josh is incredibly talented, right? And now he's just going out and playing freely. He's just trying to help us win, do whatever it takes. He was so aggressive on the offensive glass and the defensive glass. We were switching with him. He was able to keep guys in front of him. He's now just going out again and having a winning attitude, just trying to do whatever it takes to make the plays, play as hard as he possibly can. As a result, he's starting to play freely, starting to see the ball go through the hoop. He's so talented offensively that he can get some shots off when he needs to. So that's definitely a benefit for us.
Hey, Coach, VCU, the challenge today, Max Scholger, first team in the Atlantic 10. You battled with this team back on Rose Hill, a point game at the half. What's it going to take today to move on to the quarters?
Well, we got to play with the same defensive energy and intensity and physicality as we've been playing several weeks now. But we got to take care of the basketball. I mean, they killed us. We had 15 turnovers in the first meeting with them, and they capitalized with 29 points off of our turnovers. So, needless to say, they're tremendous in transition. They can get hot real quick. We have to take care of the basketball. We have to make them work in the half court, not allow them to get any easy baskets by our careless mistakes.
Coach, thank you so much for your time, and good luck today.
Go Rams.
And welcome back inside the Barclays Center here in downtown Brooklyn. Game 2, day 2 action here at the Atlantic 10 tournament. The Fordham Rams, 13-19 overall. They downed the Davidson Wildcats on day 1 to get here. And now let's take a look at those starting lineups. Antrell Charlton and Kyle Rose, the veteran backcourt. Kyle Rose, the all-defensive selection here in the A10, appearance number 141. Ramad Dean, Jameer Tripp, and Abdu Simbila, the 5 down in there for the Fordham Rams. And then on the other side, the VCU Rams. Let's take a look at those starting five. Zed Jackson, the Michigan transfer, out there with Max Scholger, the 2-guard, who transferred here from Utah State under Ryan Odom. They came here as a duo, and they are quite successful together. Wrapping up that trio is Sean Bairstow out of Utah State, and the 4-5 down low, Kwani, the Cal transfer, and Christian Furman at 6'10". It's the Fordham Rams in the Road Maroons and the VCU Rams in their crispy whites. But Chris, before we get underway, we must make a quick statement here. On March 6th, a 19-year-old woman came forward on Instagram accusing Kyle Rose of domestic violence during an argument that occurred allegedly on February 6th. On March 6th, she also submitted these claims to Fordham Public Safety. I've been in contact with Fordham Public Safety, and the university has issued me this statement. The university is aware of a very serious allegation against a Fordham student athlete and has opened an investigation which will be completed swiftly to protect the integrity of the investigation. The university will not comment at this time. But it's the Fordham Rams here, day 2 at the Atlantic 10 tournament, underway with the VCU Rams. Abdu Simbila taps it back to Antrell Charlton, and the Fordham Rams in the Road Maroons will have the first possession here on the second day. Charlton, top of the circle, angles his way to the right elbow, pops it, no good. Mid-range Jay Strong off the heel, but Abdu is fouled down low by Christian Furman. So Fordham will have the baseline inbound here in the offensive half. 15 seconds in, 0's on the scoreboard.
Nice, slow and easy to start, Miles. Fordham getting right into their default action. Probably see them get right back to that here. Give it another try.
Dean floats it in the hands of Charlton at the top of the circle. Finds Kyle Rose, left elbow. Back to Charlton, top of the key. Chest pass over to Rose, left side. Shovels it into the hands. Jameer Tripp, left corner, dribble drive. He loses the dribble. Abdu Simbila controls, rises in the Fordham Rams. On the board first. 2 points out of Abdu Simbila. 2-0 Rams, 30 seconds in.
A near double-double for Simbila yesterday, Miles. 9 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 blocks to boot.
Zeb Jackson swings it near arc for Max Scholger. Scholger, the chest pass up top for Jackson. 19-10 and ticking in the first half. 2-0 Fordham. Here's Scholger. Near side forecourt, pointing out, asking for the pick on Ramad Dean. He'll kick it back up top for Christian Furman, the big, at the top of the key. Angles his way for Kwani. Catch and shoot for Kwani from the right side short corner. Got it to go from 15. It's 2-2, a minute 7 in.
Yeah, the Cal transfer averaging about 6 per game, starting out on the right foot today.
Rose swings it over to Jameer Tripp on the right side perimeter. The freshman steps into the triple. No good. Short off the right side of the iron. Max Scholger taps the board to himself, and the VCU Rams have it, moving left to right. Bounce pass down low, looking for the cutter, and Kwani. It's tapped out of play down low by Ramad Dean. So the possession arrow will stay here with the VCU Rams. 2-2, 18:36 first half.
Little soccer there from Ramad Dean. Got the kickball violation as the stop.
Kwani, the Cal transfer at the top of the circle. Kicks it over to Scholger on the right side perimeter. Max Scholger, the first team All-State A10 selection, finds Kwani in the right corner. Kwani back to the basket, leaning in on Charlton, and draws the contact. That'll stop the clock with 18:25 to play in our first 20. That'll be Charlton's first of the game. 2-2 here.
Yeah, definitely calling all the contact they're seeing are the referees. It's a good stop from Charlton, though, in the action. You want to get VCU off kilter early on.
And a winner go home between the VCU Rams and the Fordham Rams here underway from Barclays Center. Bairstow bounces into the hands of Charlton, coming out of the baseline inbound, and Charlton immediately gets fouled from behind. Frustration foul out of Bairstow, and it's sticking here. Far sideline inbound for the Fordham Rams, but they force the turnover.
Yeah, Miles, 2 fouls that I think if it were the late game scenario would not have been called, but early on, referees trying to establish and set a tone, so 2 calls negate each other. It's Fordham ball once again.
Fordham 1 of 4 from the field. VCU 1 of 1. It's 2-2. 18-13 first half. Kyle Rose leans in on Scholger, top of the key. Steps into the triple. Yes, Kyle Rose nails it. And the Fordham Rams on top, 5-2 now. 18 minutes to play in the first half.
Rose struggled last time out, Miles, no doubt about it. 2 of 11 from the floor and 0 of 3 from beyond the arc, but he had 5 steals. He stayed engaged, and now he's showing the offense can come along too.
The Australian 3 leans in at the top of the circle. Bairstow, Sean Bairstow, chest pass up top for Scholger. Over to Zeb Jackson, the Michigan transfer, on the left arc. Jackson leans in on Charlton and resets on the A10 logo. 10 seconds to shoot. Here's Jackson. Left side three. No good. Off the left side of the iron. Simbila taps it into the hands of Kwani. And an offensive rebound into the hands of Jackson. Dribble drive down the right side of the lane. Has to reset. Finds Bairstow. Left arc three. No good. Well short. But Abdu Simbila too aggressive on the closeout. And now Sean Bairstow, the grand forward, will be headed to the free throw line for 3 free throws with 17:23 in the first half. 5-2. Fordham on top.
Miles Bairstow is a fascinating player. He's listed as a guard/forward. Depending on where you look, there are some places that have him listed as their center. He's the tallest guy in the starting lineup, and he also leads the team in assists per game. It's such a versatile talent. Very interesting.
And Bairstow out of Brisbane, Australia. Good on the first of 3 free throws, making a 5-3 Fordham lead here just underway on the second day of Atlantic 10 action. And Chris, today marks the 3rd straight year that the Fordham Rams play at a minimum of day 2 at the Atlantic 10 tournament. You got to recognize that that's a shift. That is a new era, and credit to Ed Cole and the New Era Fund.
Absolutely, Miles. They've reached the quarterfinals, the 3rd round, 5 times ever. And they're looking for their 3rd straight this year. All of that success, about half of it, is very recent here with Coach Keith Ergo.
And Sean Bairstow good on the second, bends his knees for the third. Short off the front iron. Kyle Rose the rebound. Chest pass ahead to Jameer Tripp, 1-on-2. Jameer Tripp on the dribble, loses it, but last touch Sean Bairstow under the basket. So it stays here with the Fordham Rams. 5-4, Fordham on top early. 17-18 first half.
Miles, these Rams have been getting more shots off than their opponents recently. They've taken 5 to VCU's 2 thus far. We'll see if that trend continues.
Rose leans in, top of the key, bounces it over to Charlton. Chest pass back to Rose on the left arc. Rose dribble drive down the left side, dumps it in to Abdu Simbila. Simbila catches the bounce pass, looks to go to work on Kwani. Step through with the left foot, and he rises with the left hand off the window and in. And Fordham a 7-4 lead.
Will Richardson pinching 2 fingers together at Abdu, saying he's too little. Look at the support from the Ram bench, and I mean the Fordham Rams, Miles.
Bairstow swings it down low for Bairstow, stuck in the left corner. Furman, handoff for Bairstow, left arc. Bairstow fakes the 3, finds Zeb Jackson, right side perimeter, hands out for Shulga. Shulga, right side 3, and he's nothing but net. Max Shulga ties us up at 7 apiece here, 16:33 first half.
I think he knew he was going to shoot that one before he even caught the ball, Miles. That was textbook catch to shoot routine. The Rams preached that with their own guys at Fordham.
And Jaffe Medora is set to check in at the next whistle. Kyle Rose, top of the key, leans in on Shulga, drives down the right side of the lane and finds Jameer Tripp, the freshman, stuck in the right corner, bounces it off of the foot of Kwani, so it'll be a kick ball. Staying right here with the Fordham Rams, 16-13 first half. Of course, the shot clock will reset at 20 seconds, but Chris, take a look at who our far side referee is, Mark Malone.
Mike Milione.
Mike Milione.
The referee that was with Fordham in the Virgin Islands, that refereed their second game of the season against Cornell.
North Texas
here at the Barclays Center. He can't get away from Keith Ergo's complaints about his calls. He just won't ever escape them, Miles.
And he actually teed up Keith Ergo one time. I forget which game it was, but he has. Medora on the A10 logo, leans in at the top of the key. Angles way left side arc, finds Josh Rivera. Rivera at the top, drives inside, and it'll be the jump ball called. Zeb Jackson got 2 hands on the basketball as Rivera started to drive. And the possession arrow going the way of the VCU Rams here. It's 7-7, 15:58 first half, and that will take us to our first media timeout. You're listening to Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
What's up, everyone? I'm Julia Moss, one of the hosts of WFUV's women's sports podcast, All In. Join us each week as we break down everything from the WNBA, women's collegiate sports, the NWSL, and so much more. We're also joined by recurring hosts including Maddie Bamonte, Taylor Masetta, Sam Bohr, and Annabelle Watson. All In is a production of WFUV Sports.
.58 to play in our first half. Our score 7-7 here from Barclays Center between the VCU Rams and the Fordham Rams. So we're going to now be joined by our sideline reporter, Colin Loughran.
Yesterday, Fordham sophomore Will Richardson posted a season-high 20 points on a 6 of 14 shooting clip. It was a welcomed outburst for the Teaneck, New Jersey native. Prior to yesterday, he had not scored 15 or more points in a game since Fordham's game against Richmond on the last day of January. We haven't seen Richardson yet today, and Fordham needed every bit of Richardson's energy in the second half yesterday. They'll surely need him to keep stepping up if they want to go dancing.
Thank you very much for that, Colin, and you're exactly right. Will Richardson, sort of a story written for March, if you will, Chris. He is not the type of guy that nears 20 points on a regular basis, but he drops 19 in round one, and the Rams are still standing.
Well, Miles, I think when you take a look at Richardson's performance in the A10 tournament as a whole, it was actually our manager emeritus, Ryan Gregware, that sent me these statistics. 15.3 points per game, 48% from the floor, and 47% from three-point land. Will Richardson in 3 games in the A10 tournament. Shout out to Ryan Gregware, contributing to the station, even from beyond and above, working at the NBA now, Miles.
And important to mention, 2 names have checked in off the bench for the Fordham Rams. Josh Rivera and Jaffe Medora. Richardson, coming off that big day, yet to check in.
Well, it's the guard play of Charlton and Rose that keeps the Rams steady, and there's Richardson checking in right there, Miles. The last-second substitution, he had you fooled, too.
So checks in at the under 16 media timeout here in the first half. Shulga near side, draws 2 defenders, kicks it over down low for Kwani. Dribble drive and the right-hand jam right over Abdu, and a big slam there, 9-7, VCU on top.
Good Lord, Miles, that's a poster that belongs on the Sports Center Top 10, if I say so myself. Jeez.
Rose at the top of the key. Bairstow applies the pressure. Rose steps back. Triple. Yes! Kyle Rose puts the one finger over his lips, silences the crowd, and Fordham back on top, 10-9.
Rose 2 of 2 from downtown, 2 of 2 from the floor in general. It's a hot start, the opposite of yesterday.
Zeb Jackson on the right side perimeter, leans in on Medora. Crosses right to left at the top of the circle, draws 2 and finds Kwani. Kwani right arc, dribble drive, the floater, much too much. Into the hands of Will Richardson. Now in transition, Rose into the hands of Rivera, and Rivera can't handle the pass down low, out of bounds on the offensive baseline of Fordham. And Fordham unable to capitalize there on quite an opportunity.
Well, Miles, we talked to Keith Ergo before the game. He said that last time Fordham played VCU, they had 15 turnovers, and VCU scored 29 points on those turnovers. Talk about a rate of efficiency. It's about exactly how many points you're looking for if you're a coach dreaming up execution scenarios. So for Fordham, they've got to script that flipped today, Miles.
Jackson, the Michigan transfer, on the A10 logo, kicks it down low for the other Lowell. The other big he's got down there, and Lowell rises and he draws the contact. And Toy Boy Lowell sprained his ankle last time out against Dayton, but he looks to be okay now. He's their leading rebounder at 5.9 points per game. He's a London, England-born native. He's down low there, drawing the contact, and he'll step to the free throw line.
He's not the only VCU player from London. Certainly an international flair to this Rams squad that the Rams on the other side don't have as much of.
So Lowell stands at the free throw line. Nothing but net on the first of 2. Ties us up at 10 all here. 14:42 to play in our first half. Elijah Gray checks in down low for the Fordham Rams. Abdu Simbila off.
Jaffe Medora checking in as well. But we know last time out, he and Kyle Rose combined to start 0 of 13 from the floor. Of course, they turned that around.
Lowell no good, strong, but he gets his own offensive rebound, and VCU now another opportunity. Joe Bamasil checked in. He's got it on the left arc, swings it near side for Shulga. Shulga 13 to set. Shoot on the right side perimeter. He'll kick it up top for the undersized guard in Nelson. Nelson with 7 to shoot at the top of the key. Takes the pick. Jaffe Medora pokes it free. Just 2 seconds to shoot. Nelson got to heave it at the buzzer. No good. Strong off the heel, but Elijah Gray can't handle the rebound. It bounces off of his head and out of bounds on the baseline. And the Fordham Ram bench trying to have his back, Chris.
Yeah, well, Elijah Gray was already benched after his first play out there. Coach Ergo sent Yole Akawobo to the scorer's table when Gray didn't get the first rebound. Now another error from Gray. He's getting a talking to.
Bamasil kicks it down low for Lowell. Lowell on the right block, and the two-hand slam over Jaffe Medora. And Medora got him with the right arm. It'll be an and-one opportunity here with 14:13 to play in the first half. VCU 12, Fordham 10 now, and an and-one opportunity for Toby Lowell.
With all of these posterizers, Miles, it feels like VCU's up about 12 points right now, but the Rams on the other side hanging around. They've just got to focus on the defensive end of the floor. We know Coach Ergo told the team yesterday, focus on this end, on the defensive end. The other side, that'll come.
And the man at the free throw line, an extraordinary athlete, 49.5 inches on his vertical, genuinely unbelievable. Cans the free throw right there. VCU the lead, 13-10. Jaffe Medor in the Maroons, pushing right to left into the offensive half. Here's Kyle Rose at the top, back to the basket, pressure from Scholger. Rose hesitates, leans in on the elbow, drives down the right side of the lane, and scoops home the lay off the right side of the window. Fordham back within just one, 13-12 VCU, 13:52 and ticking.
Kyle Rose is cooking from the perimeter, getting inside at will, Miles. Usually it's Jaffe Medor doing that for the Rams. This time Rose in his bigger frame getting inside.
Nelson, top of the key, swings it over to Bamisil in the right quarter. Joe Bamisil. Josh Rivera applying the pressure. He'll have to kick it back up top for Nelson. Nelson, the guard, at the top of the key. Draws two defenders, and he finds Bairstow. Bairstow to Bamisil. Top of the circle, triple, no good. Off the left side of the iron, Lowell rises for the rebound, no good. Strong on the putback. Will Richardson clears the board for Fordham. Richardson coming off that 19-point performance in round one yesterday. Swings it over right arc here for Kyle Rose. Rose steps in, now probes and spins on Lowell. Step back mid-range, Jay, no good. Short off the right side of the iron. It would have been a highlight reel finish. But here with 13 minutes in the first half, it's VCU basketball. Bamisil stuck in the left corner, kicks it up top for Bairstow. 13-12, VCU leads. They'll find Scholger in the right corner. Scholger leans in as he started the attack. It'll be the foul on the floor. Will Richardson, the guilty party. That'll stop the clock. 12:56 in the first half. 13-12, VCU the lead.
Yeah, the first foul for Richardson. Fordham already has Simbilla with 2 and Charlton with 1. You see Charlton coming back in. So is Elijah Gray. So not a permanent punishment for Gray, but he did get a really quick hook and a talking to after a couple flubs on the glass. You wonder if now he'll come out with some fire underneath him. And
a player who's seen his minutes dwindle all season. If you remember the missed defensive assignment on the road in UMass, only 2 minutes for a player like Elijah Gray, who at one point looked to be an everyday starter. 12:56 first half. Zeb Jackson is the trigger man under the basket for VCU. Kicks it into the freshman's hands. Michael Bell. Bell up top for Jason Nelson. And Nelson now with 15 to shoot. Stands on the far side forecourt. Crosses over on Will Richardson. Drives down on the A10 logo. Steps through and bounces it inside for Kawani. And Kawani couldn't handle the pass under the bucket. Going back the Fordham Rams way on the turnover. 13-12, VCU the lead. 12:41 first half.
I'm no doctor, Miles, but I have a prescription for the Fordham side right now. It's to take a deep breath. They've just got to relax and get to applying their identity onto this game. Get their fingerprints all over this one, that Fordham style of basketball. Ergo says tough, nasty, physical.
Only trailing by 1 here. 13-12 VCU. Charlton, top of the circle, poked free by Zeb Jackson. Charlton regains just before crossing the half-court stripe. Charlton got it poked free again. Zeb Jackson, this time he's loose in the backcourt. 1-on-2. Rivera rises on him, and he'll foul Zeb Jackson from the left block. And Charlton was battling with Jackson all offensive possession there. And VCU comes up with the steal, and we'll get 2 free throws out of it now. They already lead 13-12, 12:23 first half. Zeb Jackson, the high pedigree Michigan transfer, to the free throw line.
Well, Zeb Jackson, Miles, 6'5", 185, senior guard. He's got a real nice frame for the A10. His jump shot has a bit of a hitch in it, so you don't see him necessarily acting like a marksman all the time, but he's athletic, he's mobile, he's quick, he's big, he's fast, he does it all.
Makes the first, no good on the second. Charlton clears the Fordham rebound. Chest pass up top for Jaffe Medor. Medor looking to do it himself. He'll draw the foul on the floor. Zeb Jackson, the guilty party on the reach as he begun the drive. So another clock stoppage with 12:15 here in the first half. Chris, quite a few fouls in the early going. 14-12, the VCU advantage.
You can see who's coming in the game right now for Fordham to guard Zeb Jackson. Presumably it's Ramad Dean. He'll stand next to Michael Bell, but watch out for the switch. They have him out there to take care of Jackson. He was on Scholger at first, despite that not being the positional matchup that you would expect.
So Charlton, the man to inbound under the bucket. 12:15 to play first half. VCU 14, Fordham 12 with the ball. Here's Medora, stuck in the right corner, kicks it up top for Ahmad Dean. Dean the handoff to Richardson. Richardson over to Elijah Gray, fakes the right arc three. This time he pops it, and he's got it. Elijah Gray with a big bucket, and it's 15-14 Fordham.
Nobody happier on the bench than Keith Ergo to see that. He knows Fordham's at its best when Elijah Gray's playmaking out of the post and hitting his shots, but the defensive inattention sometimes forces him to keep him on the pine.
Nelson at 5'10", got it on the left arc, leans in on the much bigger Elijah Gray. 10 seconds to shoot. Nelson finds Kwani. Back on the handoff to Nelson, left arc. He'll pop the triple, and he banks it in. Unbelievable. I don't know if that was an intentional bank, but VCU back on top, 17-15.
I'd be willing to wager that it was not.
11:27 first half. Here's Medora down the right side of the lane, draws the contact on Nelson. Should be 2 free throws coming for Jaffe Medora when we come back, but 11:25 to play in the first half. VCU 17, Fordham 15, but with that, we're going to send it back to our Rose Hill Studios for a scoreboard update with Julia Moss.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Keeping it right here in the A10, 8th-ranked George Mason lost to 9th-ranked St. Joseph's earlier today by a score of 64-57. Later today, the 7th-ranked St. Bonaventure Bonnies will face off against the 10th-ranked LaSalle Explorers at 5 o'clock p.m. for a chance to play number 5 UMass tomorrow. For the last matchup of the day, number 6 Duquesne will battle 14th-ranked St. Louis at 7:30 p.m. Winner of that one will play 3rd-ranked Dayton tomorrow. Moving over to top 25 hoops, the 20th-ranked BYU Cougars spar against the UCF Knights. The Cougs are up 69-56 in the early stages of the second half. Finishing up with some headlines around the world of sports, independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced yesterday that Jets star QB Aaron Rodgers is on his short list for VP candidates. Staying in the NFL, Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes will restructure his contract to open up around $21.6 million for Kansas City to retool in their pursuit of a historic 3rd straight Super Bowl. One more story out of the MLB, New York Yankees ace Garrett Cole will officially be out for at least 1 to 2 months following an elbow injury suffered during spring training. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Julia Moss.
And welcome back courtside here at the Barclays Center here in Brooklyn, New York. Fordham 15, VCU 17, but Fordham 3 of 4 from downtown, heating up from range. But a good time to be joined by the 3rd member of our crew, my man, Colin Loughran.
Elijah Gray's defensive intensity has been a topic of conversation throughout the season. Earlier in the first half, he was pulled after failing to box out for a rebound and then not securing another board. He got an earful when he returned to the bench. Even assistant athletic trainer Rebecca Davis gave him a little talking to. And guys, while I couldn't make out the specifics of what was being said, it's clear that Gray will have to ramp up the intensity.
Thank you very much for that, Colin. We've seen this theme all year. Keith Ergo and Elijah Gray have a special relationship. They're very honest with one another. They almost hold one another accountable. There's been opportunities for Keith Ergo to get a tech where Elijah Gray prevents that. But down the stretch, it's been funny because he's lost time, but he gets the defensive flub early, then bangs the 3. That's pretty much Elijah Gray in a few moments right there.
Miles, VCU only rosters 12 players. A bit different compared to Fordham's 16, but they've got 7 points from their bench compared to Fordham's 3, so the depth they do keep around clearly very important to what they have going on.
Gray catches the lob on the right arc, hands off for Richardson. Richardson, right arc 3, no good, around and out. Shoulder the rebound, pushing left to right for VCU in the whites. 17-15 VCU. Elijah Gray reaches in on Shulga, and he'll be called for the reach at the top of the circle.
Miles, I'm confused. It should be the sideline official making that call, and he didn't blow his whistle. The baseline official claimed it was a foul. I'm not going to say anything besides that same official has refereed games at Rose Hill before and made calls that were not in his line of sight. So it's interesting. We'll see how this develops today. Certainly won't be a topic of conversation on the broadcast, but
so Kwani now in the bonus. They'll say Kwani is the man who drew the contact, which makes absolutely no sense. Max Shulga couldn't believe it either. He wanted the free throws himself, but he'll step to the free throw line here. Kwani, the Cal transfer, an 88%er from the free throw line, 6'9", a rare combination. Good on the first of 2, bends the knees for the second, and a 2-2 trip out of the 88%er, making 19-15 VCU, 11-12 and ticking first half. Jaffe Medora bursts to speed into the offensive half. Hesitates on the A10, rises with the floater, no good. Strong off the heel, but Elijah Gray taps in the putback, and Fordham gets the 2. 19-17, VCU up a pair. 10:56 first half.
We know Fordham can dominate the glass, Miles, but can they capitalize on the opportunities they create for themselves? There's Elijah Gray showing you, yes, we can.
Zeb Jackson, step back three, top of the circle, and he got it. Rattles it home over Elijah Gray, and that shot took a while to develop, but he still gets it to go. 22-17 VCU.
I told you, he's got a bit of a hitch in that shot, but it's accurate, Miles. He's a shooter.
Charlton, top of the key, angles his way right to left, kicks it back up top for Elijah Gray. Elijah Gray, 17 to shoot, and he got fouled on the floor. Kwani, the reach on Elijah Gray, and that'll stop the clock with 10:23 to play in our first 20. VCU 22, Fordham 17, and one thing's for sure, Chris, the Fordham offensive clip is a heck of a lot better than yesterday. 7 of 13 to begin from the field.
VCU with their 5th team foul there, so maybe Fordham can get into the bonus themselves. We might have an hour-long first half here, Miles.
Medora, top of the circle, step back on Shulga, dribble drive down the right side of the lane, and he loses control. Max Shulga picks it free, gets the board himself, swings it up top for Bamasil. Bamasil, transition triple, no good. Strong off the right side, Charlton, the rebound, and ahead to Medora. Gets it to Richardson, right arc Richardson. Drives inside, kicks it up top. Medora, Dean there on the triple, but he gets it to go. And Fordham back within 2, 22-20.
Dean with the quick release. He must have learned it from his Bahamian buddy, Buddy Hield, Miles.
Zeb Jackson splits 2 defenders from the left arc, kicks it back out for Kwani. No good, strong on the left side triple. Ramad Dean the rebound, flips it into the hands of Richardson. Richardson to push into the offensive set. It's VCU by a pair. Elijah Gray, dribble drive, and he gets the floater to fall with the right hand. 22-22, all tied up. It's a 5-0 Fordham run. 9:24 first half.
Miles, when your best players are Antrell Charlton, Abdou Tsambilla, and Kyle Rose, no one's more important than Elijah Gray to be making shots and making plays. He raises the ceiling so much of this Ram team when he's on.
Bamasil, chest pass up top for Zeb Jackson. 13 to shoot, over to Shulga. Left corner, dribble drive for Shulga. Dumps it down low for Kwani, and the righty finish under the bucket. 9 minutes to play now, first half. 24-22. VCU regains the lead. Kyle Rose and Yole Akuovo set to check in at the next whistle. Medora leans in on the A10, angles his way left arc. Medora stops his dribble now, hesitates, splits 2, down the lane, finds Elijah Gray, stuck in the right corner. Elijah Gray, 10 to shoot, back to the basket, leans in on Kwani. It's poked free by Bamasil, the scrum on the floor. And it looks like we got the jump ball called. Fordham has the possession arrow, so it'll stay here in the offensive set. VCU the lead, 24-22, 8:34 first half.
Some veteran presence coming in the game. Now it'll be Kyle Rose and Yole Akuovo, and for the fans at home curious about Akuovo getting court time in the A10 tournament, well, he played 5 minutes yesterday and had a steal in that time. Today he's playing because Tsambilla has 2 fouls early.
Good point, Chris. Getting playoff appearances for a guy who didn't get much time down the stretch in Atlantic 10 play. Here's Kyle Rose, right corner, steps into the jumper, and he got it. Nothing but net as the shot clock expired. The VCU bench is sure it won't count. Our far side, Mark Milione, will head to the monitor now to make sure the Kyle Rose bucket fell. And it looks like at the moment the call on the court is no good. Did not get the shot off, but they will review this one.
Yeah, Miles, those referees are going to head to that center console and engage in some deliberation, if I could say so myself.
And it's an interesting situation. They're going to mesh to the media timeout here with 8:28 in the first half, and Keith Urgo has to do a sideline interview, believe it or not. So it's going to be an extra long media timeout because Keith Urgo has to be given his full timeout following his interview, Chris. So we'll take a quick break with them, though. It's 24-24, 8:28 first half. This is Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
Hey everyone, I'm Will Grant.
And I'm Chris Persianen.
And we're 2 of the hosts for WFUV's very own basketball podcast, Pick and Pod.
Tune in weekly for updates and our takes on the latest around the NBA, as well as exclusive insight from our very own Knicks and Nets beat reporters.
We'll have you covered on everything from all of the NBA's latest drama we know and love,
to debating all year long which team will get to lift that golden Larry O'Brien in June.
So don't miss a beat from the hardwood on WFUV's Pick and Pod.
VCU 24, the Fordham Rams 22. They'll say the two-point shot out of the left hand of Kyle Rose was no good from the right side. So the bucket is taken off the board. 24-22, VCU on top, and we're now going to be joined by the third member of our crew, Colin Loughran.
It's always interesting to see the communication occurring on the bench, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the dialogue between Will Richardson and Yole Akolovo, of all people. The two players play much different positions, guys, but to say it's been animated is an understatement, and it goes to show that basketball truly is a team effort.
And passion certainly on display throughout this one. Colin Loughran, win or go home here from Barclays Center, and the bench extra animated. Thank you very much for our sideline reporter, Colin Loughran. Back underway, 8:15 first half. Joe Bamisil got it on the right arc, drives in on Will Richardson, picks up the dribble on the right block, and bounces right into us on the near side. Antrell Charlton had the last touch, they'll say, so it sticks with VCU in the white. Here, 11 seconds on the shot clock, 8:10 to play in the half. VCU on top, 24-22. Bairstow bounces inside for Shulga. Shulga, the reverse lay on the drive, and he gets it to go off the window, and it's a 26-22 VCU advantage. 8:01 first half.
Yeah, Shulga's first team for a reason, Miles. That guy is crafty and connected with his teammates. He knows where all of them are on the court at all times.
Richardson, top of the circle, steps into the triple, no good. Strong left side. And he wanted the foul, doesn't get the call. Zeb Jackson ahead for VCU, pushing left to right. The floater in transition, Strong with the left hand. Will Richardson, the point guard, clears the board himself, wearing the mask. Spins around in transition on Jackson, gets caught in the air and finds Rose. Rose, top of the key, three, no good. Short off the front of the iron. It would have been a big shot, but VCU, the board now, they lead 26-22. Bairstow traveled as he caught the ball on the left arc, and it's going right back the Fordham Rams' way. Can't hit the wide open three, but they do get bailed out with an unforced turnover.
I was going to say, Miles, those two negate each other. It was a bit too open for Kyle Rose. Not in rhythm was that shot. So on the following play, Fordham gets a lucky break, and now they get one more shot, literally, at scoring some points.
7:21 and ticking in the first 20. VCU on top, 26-22. Will Richardson at the top of the key for the Fordham Rams. Hands off for the curling Kyle Rose. Rose bounces it into the hands of Charlton. Charlton leans in, top of the key, swings it back to Rose. Rose calls out the play and gifts it back to Charlton. Charlton moving around the outside of the arc on the right side, leans in from 15 and kicks it back out for Richardson. Richardson attacks from the right side, no good. Short with the right hand, but he gets his own miss, and he rises as the shot clock expires, no good. Had no chance, out of control there. Sean Bairstow, the Aussie, with the board. Bairstow charges in and kicks left side for Bamisil. Bamisil rises with the left hand, and he'll get fouled as he rose from the left block. So two free throws coming for Joe Bamisil, the senior guard, who has quite the amazing story throughout college basketball. But Chris, here inside Barclays, the Fordham Rams have cooled down offensively, scoreless for the last 3 minutes of basketball. And now VCU a 26-22 lead with free throws coming.
We'll see how this game shakes out from here, Miles. Tensions are high right now. We got Will Richardson arguing with one referee close to us. Antrell Charlton arguing with the other, who just called the foul on him there. And on the Fordham sideline, Elijah Gray checking back in the game for Ramad Dean. So Fordham going with what was working for them earlier. Now they're pairing Rivera and Gray as the two big men down low. The two versatile big men, neither a defensive specialist, but both certainly multi-positional on offense.
And Bamisil no good on the first of two free throws. The VCU lead holds 26-22. Bamisil at the line for one more, no good. Strong with the right hand. Elijah Gray taps the board to himself. Hands it off for Jaffe Medor, and Fordham escapes there. 26-22, VCU, 6.5 to play first half. Here's Medor, outside on the left arc, angles his way to the top of the circle, looks to find Gray. It's poked free by Scholga, but Medor regains. Medor, dribble drive, splits two defenders, kicks it up top for Rose. Rose drills between the legs, crosses over, it's poked free. Zeb Jackson loose on the scrum. Kyle Rose fights for it back, and it's still a scrum on the floor. Kyle Rose travels as he handed it off to the hands of Zeb Jackson. And we'll say Zeb Jackson traveled as he took it out of the hands of Kyle Rose. Chris, an absolutely chaotic scrum in the far side, but a refs blow it dead with 6:10 to play in the half, and it looks like Fordham will retain the possession.
VCU was thinking football there, Miles. See ball, get ball. They forgot you got to dribble in between, and now Fordham will get another chance.
Kyle Rose, the inbounder, on the far sideline. It's the ball from our far side referee, Mark Malone. Chest pass into Medor at the top of the key. Hand off for Kyle Rose, right arc, flips it up top for Will Richardson. Richardson on the left arc, bounces inside for Josh Rivera. Left block, Josh Rivera steps through, kicks it out for Medor. Medor open on the right arc, extra pass up top for Rose. Rose top of the key, attacks from the left side, and he gets the lefty lay to fall. Off the glass and in, and Fordham within two now, 26-24. VCU wasted no time. Zeb Jackson on the A10 logo calls out the play. 5:38 first half. VCU leads by 2. Zeb Jackson attacks down the right side of the lane himself and picks up the dribble. Jaffe Medor the pressure. He'll hand it off for Billups. Right side short corner. Billups backing his way down on Medor. Chest pass over. Bairstow. Bairstow left arc three and nothing but net as he blows a kiss to the Fordham bench. And VCU now up 5, 29-24, 5:14 first half. Richardson, chest pass over to Medor on the left arc. 15 seconds to shoot. Medor, left perimeter, hesitates in on Bairstow. Dribble drive, the righty scoop is strong, and Sean Bairstow clears the board on the weak side. 29-24, VCU the lead in the ball. Lowell drives in and draws the contact, looking for the lob from Scholga. So the Fordham Rams commit the contact, and of course the bonus situation. VCU headed back to the charity stripe with 4:53 in the half.
Yeah, Miles, that's 2 fouls on Josh Rivera, number 55. In his 22 minutes yesterday, he had 14 points on 6 of 7 field goal shooting, including a make from downtown and 1 of 2 at the free throw line. Well, 50% brings his average up for the season, so not the worst outcome there. And overall, a really positive showing from Rivera yesterday. Even impressed some coaches in attendance, some scouts, that I can tell you.
Toby Lowell stands at the free throw line. He's good on the first of 2, just a 78%er on the campaign. Brings VCU up 2 scores, 30-24, 4:53 first half. One more coming to the right hand of Lowell, and he's genuinely an extraordinary athlete. We already touched on it, his vertical, but he's one of those players that you just watch him play basketball. The athleticism stands out immediately.
It's the speed at which he does normal things.
Exactly.
He makes normal things look abnormal, and that's when you know you've got a real special athletic talent on your hands. I think Jameer Tripp, who just checked in for Fordham, might be one of those himself, too.
Here's Kyle Rose at the top of the circle. 4:43 first half. Rose drives down the left side of the lane, picks up the dribble, and bounces it up top for Medor. Medor, 13 to shoot, leans in. The pressure from Jason Nelson, and Medor swings it over to Jameer Tripp. Back right arc for Dean. Dean rises on the triple, and he gets fouled. Sean Bairstow too aggressive on the closeout, and with only 3 seconds to shoot, the Fordham Rams earn themselves 3 free throws via Ramad Dean.
A lot of ticky-tack calls early, Miles. Like we said, the referees trying to establish a tone early on in this one, and now you'll see number 2, Ramad Dean, head to the free throw line. He had 5 points, 6 rebounds, and a dime last time out, which was yesterday. 2 of 5 from the floor, 1 of 3 from downtown.
And Dean has become a regular starter in his sophomore campaign, playing strong off the heel there. Only a 66%er from the charity stripe on the year. And he looks to compose himself at the free throw line, coming off the miss. It's 31-24 VCU, 4.5 to play, and he rattles home the second of 3. Brings Fordham back within 6.
Yeah, Fordham would be able to walk away with still a bucket's worth of points, even if they don't get that first free throw from Dean, which they did not. They're down 6 now, and a free throw here would make it a 2-possession game.
Dean cashes in on the second free throw. Fordham back within 5. 31-26 VCU, 4:24 first half. Max Scholga looks to beat the full court pressure of Jameer Tripp himself. Walks it up slowly and kicks it right arc here for Jason Nelson. Nelson now milking some clock on the A10 logo. The knee-high dribble with the left hand as he swings it over to Billups. Billups back to Nelson, the two-man game. Here's Nelson, left arc three. Nelson no good, strong off the right side, and the offensive rebound. They'll say Lowell going for the rebound. Going back the Fordham Rams way. And Toby Lowell, the London-born product, the leading rebounder, is the guilty party. And with that one, the Fordham Rams have now worked their way into the single bonus with 4:03 to play in the half. And we got a 1-1 now for Fordham, 31-26, the VCU advantage.
So, Miles, a good thing for Fordham. 4 minutes left on the first half clock, and they're going to be able to slow this game down and add points on the board, hopefully for them, several times throughout the rest of the half. But for VCU, hopefully for them, the Fordham Rams continue their trend of not capitalizing on 1-and-1 opportunities. Far too many times this season, the Rams have gone up and missed the first of two, not even granting them a second free throw.
So some confusion about who drew the contact. Kyle Rose, the first name to step to the free throw line. Then our ref said, no, it's 2 Dean, and they said, no, it's 3 Tripp. So now Jameer Tripp, number 3 in maroon, stands at the free throw line for the 1-and-1. Spins the ball into his left palm. Sorry, Chris.
They went, just going to crack a joke that they went from number 2 to number 3. Who's next? Noah Best off the bench? I mean, holy.
Cashes in on the first of 2, brings Fordham within just 4 now. 31-27 VCU Rams here on day 2 of the Atlantic 10 tournament. Of course, VCU had a chance at the double bye. They fell to Dayton on the final day of the regular season to give UMass the 4 seed.
And that game went to overtime.
That game went to OT, so they were awfully close to getting the double bye here. But now Jameer Tripp, after making the free throw, Keith Urgo is complaining to the far side referee, saying there's no way Jameer Tripp should be the man at the free throw line. So now they're saying Ramad Dean is the name, but it's also too late because a free throw has obviously been made, but they will wipe the free throw off the board temporarily. And what they'll look to do is give 2 free throws to Ramad Dean. Of course, with our national TV crew of USA Today getting the explanation, we got our guy Chris Persianen trying to rush over. It doesn't seem like he'll get the word on the far side, as now Mark Malone, our buddy Mark Milione, gives Chris the near side. And I have to say, Chris, I don't think you're getting that explanation without building that relationship in the Virgin Islands. And I don't know if you just heard me, Chris, but I said I don't think you're getting that explanation without building that relationship in the Virgin Islands.
Well, you know, Mike Milione and I spoke at about 5 in the morning one time in the Virgin Islands, both up getting some preparation done. I think he was working out. I was just doing game notes, but we had a little chat at about 5:30 a.m. out in the Virgin Islands.
But what was the explanation, Chris?
Well, the call was that it was a correctable error. So the referees did make an error. It was number 2, Dean, that should have been sent to the line. And they're able, at this juncture of the game, to wipe the point off the board and send the correct shooter to the line.
And then down low, looks like we will head to our under 4 media timeout now. Some more contact down low. VCU 31, Fordham 26 here with 3:59 to play in our first half. But with that, we'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios for a second scoreboard update with Julia Moss.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
We'll keep it at home and start with some Fordham University scores. Fordham softball is currently down 3-1 against the Fairleigh Dickinson Knights in the top of the 8th inning. You can catch that call on our other stream on the WFUV Sports YouTube. Fordham baseball, coming off a 17-7 shellacking of William and Mary, will face off against Wagner at 3 o'clock p.m. Zooming out just a little bit, the New York Jets acquired offensive tackle Morgan Moses from the Baltimore Ravens today. Surely a good sign for Jets fans who hope to fix up their team's offensive line. Sticking with the Jets, for those who missed my first update, independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced today that star Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers is on his shortlist for VP candidates. Wrapping up with some basketball scores as we are well into March, the BYU Cougars have ballooned their lead against the UCF Knights. As they are well on their way to a win, Cougs are up 80-67 with just a couple minutes to go in the second half. On the women's side, the 25th ranked Fairfield Stags are showing why they deserve their ranking against Rider. 40-36 is the score well into the fourth quarter. And as a reminder, Selection Sunday is on March 17th. Men's show starts at 6 and the women's is at 8 p.m. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Julia Moss.
And 3:59 to play in our first half. VCU the lead 31-26 in a back and forth day 2 affair at the Atlantic 10 tournament. Win or go home. We're now going to be joined by the third member of our crew, Colin Loughran.
Virginia is more than 400 miles away from Brooklyn, but VCU still has a strong contingent of fans here today at Barclays. Guys, there's actually what appears to be a husband and wife duo right behind the booth, and they've been loud, and I mean loud, all game long in support of the traveling Rams, much to the chagrin of their rather neutral section. They better not get too carried away, though. The refs may give them a tech before this thing's over.
Colin, I'm so glad you mentioned that couple sitting behind you, because right as we sat down, I was talking to our producers before this one saying, Julia, we might have a loud pair of fans behind us that might come up on the crowd mic, but the crowd been a factor for VCU all day. It seems they have traveled in numbers. They expect to win today and make a run.
Well, the number 5 seed playing either the 12 or the 13 seed, they came in confident, and now look who's at the free throw line, this time deservedly so. It's Jameer Tripp.
So Ramad Dean had missed the front end. It was the foul on the floor coming off the offensive rebound by Jameer Tripp, and he cans the first of 2 now. So it is 31-27 once again. After having the free throw wiped off the board, bends the knees for the second and cashes in. 31-28 now, the VCU lead. 3:58 ticking in the first half. Zeb Jackson pushing left to right in the crispy whites, I might say.
And there's Dean with the pressure.
Swings it up top for Shulga on the left arc. Into the hands of Kwani. Over to Zeb Jackson. Zeb Jackson drives down the right side, kicks it over to Kwani. Left corner 3. Kwani no good. Strong off the right side. He's got his own miss under the bucket. Elijah Gray rips it free. Ahead to Jameer Tripp, and the Fordham Rams wrap up the possession there. 31-28 VCU. 3:28 and ticking. Fordham Rams trail by 3 with the ball. Here's Medor. Angles his way to the left arc. Knee-high dribble with the right hand. Kicks it up top for Rose. Rose crosses right to left on Shulga. Finds Dean. Dean in the right corner. Fakes the 3. Attacks inside. Rises and he gets it to go. Off the window and down. VCU only a 1-point lead. 31-30. 3:05 first half.
Talk about athleticism today, Miles. How about the hang time there from Ramad Dean? He could have played a game of tic-tac-toe with a friend in the time he was in the air.
2:56 first half. Max Shulga on the right side. Dumps it down low, and the pass picked off. Jaffe Medor the steal. Gets it into the hands of Kyle Rose. And Fordham into the offensive set. Medor, an amazing effort play. Diving out of bounds to save that basketball. And now Fordham will slow it down on the A10 logo. VCU 31. Fordham 30. 2:34 first half. Here's Jaffe Medor, the point guard. Leans in. Crosses left to right between the legs. Now the right hand dribble with the knee high. Angles his way over to the top of the circle. Fakes the 3. Now he pops it. Yes! As the shot clock expires and Fordham regains the lead. 33-31.
And for the guy who started yesterday, 0 of 8 from the floor, Miles, Jaffe Medor now 1 of 3, turning it around with that make from downtown, dare I say, from Bed-Stuy. That was a deep one.
Shulga up top for Zeb Jackson. Whips down the pass for Lowell. And Lowell, the 2-hand slam under the bucket. Wide open. Ties us up at 33 all. 1:54 first half. Medor across the timeline. Whistles for the timeout. And somebody missed their defensive assignment down low. Toby Lowell was wide open. Keith Urgo wants the timeout. It's a tie ball game. 33-33. 1:52 first half.
Miles, I think it was Ramad Dean, not to point fingers here from the sidelines in our suits, certainly not maroon jerseys, but I gotta say, Urgo darted to Dean immediately after the timeout was called by Kyle Rose to give him a quick lesson on where he should have been. Now, you can tell the difference with the players Urgo trusts typically defensively and not. Someone like Jameer Tripp or Elijah Gray would get pulled from the game in a longer explanation as to what they need to do, why they need to do it, and where they need to be. Ramad Dean, it's a quick, hey, that's you down low. Get him next time. He trusts Dean's athleticism. Frankly, his lateral movement and length reminds me of Frank Ntilikina for our NBA role player fanatics. I think Dean is impressive this season, and like you said earlier, Miles, that's how he's elevated himself from one of the many members of this team's infamous sophomore core to an everyday starter.
Exactly right, and he's also got that three-point shot to his name. One of many Rams who have that three-point shot ability. The Fordham Rams, 5 of 9 from downtown, good for 56%, 52% from the field. And after shooting 22.6% in the first half against Davidson yesterday, this kind of offensive outpouring has to feel good.
They were 1 of 11 from 3 in the first half against Davidson.
Rivera swings it out left arc, Medora left corner three, Medora strong off the heel. Rivera snatches up the rebound and kicks it up top for Tripp. Tripp hands off for Medora. Now 90 seconds to play in the half, 13 seconds to shoot. Medora cuts inside, attacks the lane, rises, and he's fouled down low by Lowell. So 2 free throw trip coming up for Medora. It's a tie ball game, 33-33 with 1:27 to play in the first 20. And Fordham, their opportunity to take their first lead in a while, Chris.
Yeah, Miles, I want to go back to the stat sheet here. 20 shots for VCU, 24 for Fordham. There's that trend we were talking about earlier, but this time it's different, Miles. Why? Where Jaffe Medora is right now, the charity stripe. The Fordham Rams have taken 6 free throws today, now 7. VCU has made 9 of their 14.
And Jaffe Medora around and down on the first of 2 free throws, 34-33. Fordham on top now. Medora 71%er on the campaign. Nothing but net on the second. Fordham up a pair now, 35-33. And Chris, this stark difference from half number 1 yesterday. They scored 19 through 20 minutes yesterday. They have 35 points here through 18. Dumps it down low. Kwani rises from the left block. VCU in transition, staying aggressive, and now 2 free throws coming for the VCU Rams. And one of the things that we noticed back on Rose Hill about this VCU team that also stands out today is coming off of made buckets. They waste absolutely no time. In terms of getting down the floor, they are the quickest team in the A10.
Yeah, Miles, Coach Keith Ergo told us before the game how these Rams will kill you in transition. And, well, you can tell with their functional game speed that they are that kind of team. They may not all have the fastest 40 time at the NFL Combine, but when it comes to functional in-game speed, these guys fly up and down the court. It's almost like these Rams have wings.
And Kwani in and out on the second free throw. He did make the first. So VCU back within 1, 35-34. Fordham on top with 1:10 to play in the first half. And this win-or-go-home affair on day 2 here at the Barclays Center. Medora at the top of the key, calls out the play, kicks it over to Rose. Rose, top of the circle, 13 seconds to shoot. Chest pass back up top for Jaffe Medora. Getting harassed by Jackson. Medora swings it over to Rose. Now in the 2-man game. Rose, right arc 3. Yes! Kyle Rose, a shake of the head right at the VCU bench, and a 38-34 Fordham lead.
He had some words for the assistant coaches as well, who looked at each other in almost disgust once Rose walked away, saying, we're letting this guy talk to us like that? You're going to see these Rams fire right back, Miles.
13 seconds between the shot clock and the game clock here in the first half. Zeb Jackson lobs it into the hands of Bamasil. Bamasil, left corner 3, and nothing but net. At a Joe Bamasil, and VCU within 1 point now. Jaffe Medora to walk it up, moving right to left in the Maroons. 10 seconds to play in the half. The shot clock is off. Fordham by 1 now, 38-37. Kyle Rose, top of the key, drives in, fades away from 15. And he airballs it there. The half-court heaves, strong out of Joe Bamasil, but that's how our first 20 comes to an end. A high-scoring affair at day 2 at the Barclays Center. Fordham 38, VCU 37.
I mean, we've seen Fordham and their opponent combine for 38 points in the first half of the game this season. It was 19-18 at halftime on Rose Thrill against George Mason. Now 38-37, the narrow Fordham Ram lead as assistant coach Ronald Ramon hangs around behind the team for a little explanation on one of those final calls. You know, Fordham loves to work the refs, Miles, but regardless, talking about this first half of basketball, it was a nice showing from both squads, especially VCU in regards to drawing contact and translating it into points. For the Fordham Rams, a nice shooting start. So there's 2 sides to this coin, Miles. One of them, hey, the Rams are 13 of 26 from the floor. They've taken 5 more shots than the VCU Rams, and they're 6 of 11 from downtown. You can't dream those numbers up. Even Coach Ergo's wildest dreams wouldn't have the Rams 6 of 11 from 3 in the first half. The other side of this, though, you're shooting nearly your best numbers of the season from the floor, from downtown, from the free throw line, you name it, and you're only up 1 point to a team that throughout this year has shown the ability to struggle a bit when an underdog comes in and gives them some fight.
Absolutely, Chris. Fordham 38, VCU 37, and they hit every shot at an efficient clip. 75% from the free throw line, much better than they've been all year. 55% from downtown, 6 of 11 as a squad, and 50% from range, 13 of 26 to be exact. Kyle Rose leads the way with 13 points on an efficient 5 of 8 clip. Halftime here at the Barclays Center between the Fordham Rams and the VCU Rams. Fordham leads by 1 here on day 2 at the A10s. But with that, we'll take a quick break and send it back to our Rose Hill studios for the halftime show with Owen, Kelty, and Ben Oppenheimer.
The one-on-one halftime report.
Welcome into the one-on-one halftime report here at the beautiful Rose Hill campus. I'm Owen Kelty, joined today by the great Ben Oppenheimer. Fordham leads this one 38-37. They came into this game as 8.5-point underdogs, and just what an offensive output through this first half. Just incredible shooting by both teams, but Fordham's got them in this one so far.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Fordham fan, if you're Fordham, one of the players on the team right now, you have to be extremely pleased with where they're at halftime, leading VCU by 1 point, 38-37. You take into account yesterday in the first half, 19 points. Not great offensively.
Not a great offensive showing.
It's like night and day. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, if you ever seen that. Just the stunning comparison between yesterday's offensive production and today's. 38 points in the first half, 50% from the field. That's great for a team that throughout the season, Owen, has kind of struggled offensively, especially from three, but 6 for 11 from three, that's 55%. And VCU is also shooting well relatively. They're even shooting better overall from the field than Fordham. 52% for VCU, 11 for 21 from the field, 42% from three, which is even not that bad. They're 5 for 12 on their shots from deep. But really what's been fascinating to me, the standout stat that I'm looking at halftime right now, is Fordham has only shot 8 free throws. VCU has shot 16. So you can, as a fan, you can say some of those fouls have been a bit questionable or...
Always easy to go with the refs.
Right. But you can also make the case that VCU is in this game still because of the fouls, because of the free throw shooting that they've done, that they've made. I mean, 63% from the line, so that's not great, but they've still made 10 of their shots from the free throw line. That's 10 extra points. So that has really kept them in this game, I think. That's kind of fascinating to look at. Also, one other interesting stat is points off turnovers. Fordham is leading VCU in that 10-6. So both of those two specific stat lines stand out to me. The free throw shooting and the points off turnovers, both of them have kept this a competitive game so far.
And what's kept Fordham in these games all season long? You mentioned yesterday's score, only 19 points at half. Earlier in the season, they had a half where they led 19-18 at halftime. Now we're looking at 38-37. You mentioned their defense. They've forced 7 turnovers so far, but they've also turned the ball over 8 times. So you're looking at they've shot extremely well, but a little sloppy on the offensive end, turning the ball over 8 times. And then you brought up the free throws, 16-8. VCU has not been able to capitalize off that, only making 10 free throws so far. So that seems like this little bit of a difference in the game. And you brought up the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I said that right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Fordham all season has been back and forth on three-point shooting. Some games they'll shoot incredible from three, and some games they'll shoot really bad, and that percentage will be in the low 20s. And today in this first half, 54% from three, 6 of 11. That's really the big difference maker here in the game. This game, they're shooting better from three than they are from the field in general, which sometimes does happen with this Fordham team. We talked about it off air. They love shooting threes, and that's kind of become this identity of this team. They've really relied on the three-point ball.
Yeah, I mean, looking at last game, as I mentioned earlier, the first half of yesterday's game, 1 for 11 from deep, 9%. and now right now you just mentioned that I
6
believe
of 11.
They're 6 of 11. So that's such an improvement. Credit to Keith Ergo for making some adjustments, whatever he did to get more guys open and to have more of a free-flowing style of basketball in this first half. I mean, really, this has been one of the better games offensively that this Fordham team has played all season, especially against such a great team like VCU. You have to be impressed with the effort, with the execution. I think also an interesting storyline to watch out for. Kyle Rose, even though he had the game, I don't want to say game winning, but it was a shot.
Game-tying layup, that got him to overtime.
Thank you for putting those words in my mouth. And he was not, despite that, he was not great overall on the floor yesterday. Only 5 points. Rose today has already accumulated 13 points on 5 for 8 shooting, 3 for 4 from deep in 15 minutes of play. That's excellent. And Richardson yesterday, it was the will the thrill show.
Put the team on his back in the overtime and just willed them back into that game.
Yes, no pun intended, or maybe a pun intended. But he is scoreless so far in this first half. So I think Richardson can almost be the X factor in the second, because we know what Kyle Rose is capable of doing, especially what we've seen him do in these last few games of conference play down the stretch. What he's capable of, even scoring over 30 points in one game. I forget which team that was that was against, but my point still stands is that we are familiar with Kyle Rose throughout the season, particularly in the second half of the season. But Richardson has struggled somewhat in some games. And so for him to come alive yesterday, that was what decided yesterday's game and led Fordham to this point. So the X factor for Fordham, if they're going to close the deal, seal the deal, versus VCU, Richardson's got to get some points on the board.
And he's really gone into that sophomore slump, freshman last year. He really came alive in that tournament, and you saw that this guy is going to be really good. And then yesterday we saw signs of what we had last year. He came alive. I think he scored 20 points, put the team on his back. And then, like you said, no points so far here in that first half. But I think you can kind of look at that as a good sign, because no points and you're still winning by 1. I know if you look at how VCU is shot, 52% from the field, the defense is going to have to improve in that second half. When you're shooting 54% from 3, you can't always rely on that consistency in the second half, and your defense is going to have to pick it up, I think, in that second half. So you have Will Richardson as your X factor for the second half?
Absolutely.
I think for me, I'm going to have to go with Kyle Rose, 5 of 8 so far. He's been leading scorer all season, 13 points so far. Especially, they need to look at Elijah Gray, 7 points so far. Been pretty good. But Fordham shooting 55% from 3. It's always going to come back to that. And when you look at the lead time, VCU leads the game, has led for 11 minutes compared to Fordham's 4 minutes. So I think you really have to look at that as another good sign for this team to be leading at the half, 38-37. But I think that is going to do it for us here at the Rose Hill Studios. After a quick break, we'll get it back to Miles, Chris, and Colin at the Barclays Center.
Hi, this is Mike Breen, WFUV class of 1983. WFUV is the flagship station of Fordham Athletics, with live coverage of Fordham football, Fordham men's and women's basketball, in addition to Saturday one-on-one. Stay right here on 90.7 FM for all things WFUV Sports.
Welcome back in courtside here at Barclays Center, downtown Brooklyn. It's the A10 tournament, day 2 action between the VCU Rams and the Fordham Rams. And just about 24 hours ago, these Rams, Fordham that is, found themselves in a comeback spot, trailing by 8, through 20 minutes with their season on the line. Well, they came back, they survived till today, and now a 1-point advantage. 20 minutes for the rest of the season, but they do lead 38-37. I'm Miles Grossman alongside Chris Persianen. And Chris, an amazingly efficient offense through 20 minutes.
Yeah, Miles, I mean, you take a look at the Fordham Rams. This is a team playing up to their competition right now. The 12-seeded Rams up against the 5-seeded VCU Rams. And let's just take a look at the numbers for a second. For the season, Fordham shoots 40.0% from the floor. They make 4 out of every 10 shots. They make 3 out of every 10 three-pointers, shooting 31% from downtown, and they're just a 66% free throw shooting team. Now take a look at today's numbers, Miles. 13 of 26, that's 50% for those who hate math at home. 6 of 11 from 3, 55% from three-point land, and 6 of 8 from the free throw line is good for 75%. They're shooting at least 10% higher in all categories. That's ridiculous, and they've been playing perfect basketball to start. They're going to need to keep that up because that VCU run is coming. We know basketball in general is a game of runs, and I can tell you right now, VCU's got about 3 of those babies left in them.
And if you remember, when this squad came up to Rose Hill, VCU only led by 1 at the half, but they came out the break and just landed the first punch and never looked back. But 20 minutes to play here. Fordham 38, VCU 37, but we're now going to be joined by the third member of our crew, our sideline reporter, Colin Loughran.
Both Fordham and VCU are shooting around 50% from the field on the year. Fordham is 8-1 when they outshoot their opponent, and only 4-18 when outshot by the opposition. Additionally, the boys from the Bronx have committed 7 turnovers, while VCU has coughed it up 8 times. Fordham is 10-7 this year when they commit less turnovers than their opponent. All of that is to say that there was a lot to like about those first 20 minutes if you're a Fordham fan.
Thank you very much for that, Colin. And a pretty split box score when you take a look. As you said, 7-8 in the turnover battle. Both teams pretty efficient, but Fordham just hitting at a slightly higher clip, and it'll be interesting to see who is turned to. Obviously, Kyle Rose seems to have broken out of the slump. 13 points in the first half, 5 of 8 from the field. And Chris, that was a big missing piece over the last 2 games. If you remember, on Senior Day, in a low-scoring loss at the hands of the Rhode Island Rams, 58-50, they fell there, and Kyle Rose was 1 of 9 from the field. And of course, last time out on day 1 of the Atlantic 10 tournament versus Davidson, pretty much just as ice cold, but he dropped 31 a couple weeks ago. He looks to be back to his normal self.
Well, he's leading all scorers in this one right now with his 13 points, and that's on 5 of 8 shooting, including 3 of 4 from downtown. I mean, whether it's Astoria, Long Island, this guy's pulling up from all over, from way downtown, and draining those looks. You take a look, too, at the rebounding. It's not great for Fordham. They've got 15 as a team, VCU with 14, but there's not a Fordham Ram that has more than 2 rebounds, Miles. So we'll see if Abdou Tsambilla can have a second half impact on this one. We know he had to exit the first half early due to foul trouble. He's the key Ram in the second half. These other guys look like they're going to be able to, even if not keep up the offensive production, keep up the effort. Can Abdou Tsambilla keep up his minutes and stay on the court?
Definitely, Chris. And last time out, when they downed Davidson just yesterday, it was a classic case of wearing down your opponent. When you take a peek at that box score, take a look at the depth. Davidson only got 7 names in, 2 players off the bench. Compare that to VCU. They are a much deeper squad. Fordham is not going to be able to just wear VCU down physically the way they wore Davidson down. They have players, they have fresh legs. They're going to come to play in half number 2.
Connor Cochera played 45 minutes yesterday.
Exactly.
That's a sentence on its own. That's a statement of its own, Miles. When you take a look at what Davidson does, it's a different attack than VCU. And these Rams that are facing on the Fordham Rams, well, they're a bit more dedicated to spreading the wealth around and getting their bench guys involved. It's funny, like I said earlier, they only roster 12 players, Fordham with 16, but VCU uses that depth that they have.
And lots of transfers, lots of depth. Joe Bamasil, who was the 2 guard when these two faced off on Rose Hill, has been moved to the 2nd unit for the likes of Zeb Jackson. But both of those players is an Oklahoma transfer and a Michigan transfer. High pedigree names and high pedigree talents. The athleticism stands out as soon as you watch them play.
Yeah, Zeb Jackson, 11.5 points a game, 3.5 assists. Bamasil, 14 points a game and 3.5 rebounds. Those are 2 big contributors not named Max Shulga. So will Kyle Rose get help from his running mates? Not Aaron Rodgers' running mate, but will he get help from his Fordham running mates?
So back underway here, half number 2, VCU the first possession. It's Max Shulga, left arc, drives in on Kyle Rose, kicks it right corner. Kwani, right corner 3, catch and shoot is strong. Off the left side of the heel, Jameer tripped the rebound and he's fouled from behind. Christian Furman, the contact in transition, and Fordham draws some contact 20 seconds into the half. Good for the bonus, and now Fordham, the basketball, 38-37, and Chris, 20 minutes for the rest of the season. It doesn't even feel like it in the gym, but you know down the stretch, the energy will pick up.
Absolutely, Miles. These fans are here to see a good basketball game, and even neutral parties will have a side they're rooting for. They'll pick one of the 2 Rams by the end of this one.
Rose on the A10 logo, chest pass over to Tripp on the right side, and Tripp the chest pass out of bounds. Nobody touched it on the near end. He was looking for Ramad Dean and just missed him wide right by 2 feet and straight into Radio Row here, Chris.
I think one of those statistics screens down there just had a bit of a physical hardware problem, if you want to put it that way.
19:16 to play in the game. Fordham by 1, 38-37. Christian Furman, the big at the top of the key, hands off for the curling Shulga. Shulga flips it outside for Zeb Jackson. Zeb Jackson with 10 to shoot will reset at the top of the circle. Skip pass over left side, Bairstow. Bairstow drives down the left side, fades from 15, no good. Short on the jumper, off the right side of the iron. Antrell Charlton, the catch off the Ramad Dean rebound. Charlton, top of the circle, flips it into the hands of Tripp. Tripp with 20 to shoot, bounces high post for Abdou Simbila. Simbila, 2 dribbles with the left hand and another handoff for Charlton. Charlton outside, he'll bounce it inside for Simbila, and Simbila got smacked in the face. He's holding his nose once again for back-to-back days. Looked like he got poked in the right eye also, so some contact on the floor. That'll stop the clock with 18:36 to play in the half. Fordham still on top in a scoreless second half, 38-37.
Abdou Simbila tried to power through it at first. Now the officials giving him a moment to talk to assistant coach Ronald Ramon and head coach Keith Ergo, the athletic trainer Becca over there as well to help out. Abdou wiping his eye with a towel. We know it's always a bit of a happening when Abdou gets injured. When you're so big, you fall hard.
Absolutely, and back-to-back days now, some contact to the face of Abdou Simbila. He is one of the more physical players in all of the Atlantic 10, ready to brace for the contact, but he'll have to check off here for the likes of Elijah Gray coming off the contact. Kyle Rose, catch and shoot, left arc 3, no good. Strong off the right side. Barely grazed the right rim, and now Zeb Jackson bursts into the offensive set coming off the rebound. Poked free by Tripp, but Jackson regains on the right side forecourt. 18-18 in the half, 38-37 Fordham. Zeb Jackson, the Michigan transfer, top of the key, pulls back the 3 on Charlton, pops it in, nothing but net. Out of Zeb Jackson, VCU back on top, 40-38 with the first points of the second half.
That's a great 3 from Jackson, Miles. That hitch in the shot didn't matter once again. He's a marksman.
Tripp flips it to the curling Kyle Rose. Kyle Rose takes the screen now, dribbles behind the back and finds Dean. Dean on the left arc, drives inside and is poked free. Zeb Jackson the steal. One-on-one with Jameer Tripp, rises from the left side and he's well short. Bairstow going for the board, and Sean Bairstow the last touch. It'll be Fordham Ram basketball on the offensive baseline of VCU. Zeb Jackson had numbers, and Fordham got the stop.
Yeah, him and Ramad Dean got tangled up like a cobweb there, Miles. Just all interwoven with each other, legs flying, and both hit the ground pretty hard. Zeb Jackson, the latter of the 2 to get up off the ground, needed assistance from teammates, and now he's walking gingerly back to the other end of the court. Looks like one of those ankles is bothering him a hair, but not enough to ask to be subbed out. He's got an assistant asking him if he's okay, and he didn't even answer. Just got back on defense.
And Zeb Jackson a little hobbled on that left foot, it looks like, left ankle to be exact, as he grabs it. But 17:39 to play. Here's Josh Rivera, left elbow extended. It's poked free, but the reach will be the call. And I believe Zeb Jackson once again too aggressive on the left elbow extended. So the possession here with the Fordham Rams on the far side, and that's the VCU Ram band making those cheers.
Sounds like they're saying, Yole, 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 Yole. Maybe number 15 on Fordham getting some love from the VCU band.
VCU 40-38 over Fordham. Kyle Rose dribbles knee high at the top of the circle, lobs it into the hands of Elijah Gray. Gray on the left arc, now hands off for the curling Antrell Charlton. Charlton whips it into the hands of Rose. Rose dribbles between the legs, step back, triple, and he got it. Kyle Rose up to a game-high 16 points, 41-40. Fordham regains the lead.
VCU does not have a double-digit scorer. Kyle Rose has 16 points all on his own. That's on 4 of 6 shooting from downtown now, Miles, a human flamethrower.
Sean Bairstow catch and shoot 3. Left arc, no good, off the left side. Antrell Charlton clears the board for Fordham. 16:53 to play. Fordham back up 1, 41-40. Elijah Gray tosses into the hands of Kyle Rose on the right arc. Rose with 19 to shoot. Drives in on Jackson. Picks up the dribble now on the A10. Finds Tripp. Left arc 3. Tripp, no good. Off the left side of the iron, and that is not the freshman's shot. And Bairstow will have it, moving right to left. Looking to go coast to coast, and it'll be the foul on the floor. Elijah Gray fouls Bairstow down low in transition, and that'll stop the clock. 16:31 in the half. 41-40. Fordham still leads.
I'd say it's a worthwhile foul for Gray, his first of the game now, so not in any kind of foul trouble as Jaffe Medor swaps out Jameer Tripp. Lineup getting a little smaller, but a little more adept at ball handling and shooting.
Shulga, the trigger man of the basket, two-hand overhead pass into Kwani at the top of the circle. He'll hand off for the curling Shulga, right side forecourt. Shulga drives in on Gray, hesitates now, right side, short corner, back to the basket. He'll find Bairstow top of the key, kicks it over to Nelson. Nelson leans in on Medor, thought about the 3, lobs it down low, and it's picked up. Charlton pokes it into the hands of Medor, and Medor, a burst of speed in the offensive half, the righty flip, and he'll draw the contact on Lowell. Fordham on top, 41-40, 16:07 to play, and 2 free throws coming once again for Jaffe Medor.
Yeah, Medor with kind of a dry smile after that one to his teammates. He knew he could have gone down Broadway and just jammed it, Miles. They call him Top Floor J for a reason. That vertical is something, but he snuck in underneath and drew the contact, trying to get the and one instead of the highlight dunk, and resulted in no points. Now he's got to earn them himself.
So Medor at the free throw line, around and out. Toilet bowled all the way around the rim before it didn't fall, and the Fordham lead will hold it just a sole point. 41-40 here with 16:07 to play in round 2 action with the VCU Rams here at the Atlantic 10 tournament.
Miles, like we said at halftime, Fordham's playing practically perfect basketball, and they're ahead by just 1, make it 2 as Medor sinks the second, but you know, they've got to keep that up and stop VCU from surging back.
42-40, the Fordham Rams on top now. The full court pressure. Max Shulga will press it up on Kyle Rose and cross the timeline on the near side. Chest pass up top for Jason Nelson. Now back to Shulga. 2-man game with Nelson. Jason Nelson, 2-hand overhead pass. Shulga fakes the 3, and Kyle Rose poked it free. But he'll be called for the reach. Too aggressive as he picked up the steal. So stay here with the VCU Rams. 15:45 to play. Fordham on top, 42-40. We'll take a quick break here from Barclays. This is Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Lou Orlando.
And I'm Colin Loughran.
And we're 2 of your main hosts for WFUV Sports' NHL podcast, 5 on 3.
We'll keep you updated on the Rangers, Islanders, Devils, and of course, the Stanley Cup Final.
Home ice for all things NHL, 5 on 3.
42-40, the Fordham Rams lead the VCU Rams here in a win or go home on the second day of the Atlantic 10 tournament. I'm Miles Grossman alongside Chris Persianen, but a good time to be joined by our sideline reporter, Colin Loughran.
Miles, it's that time in the year where everybody is playing banged up, and earlier Abdou Sambila had to leave the game after some blood was coming out of some area of his face. He's now on the bench taking care of that. He should be back in this one. The other concerning injury, if you could call it that, for the Rams, or ailment, is Ramad Dean. He's having some sort of problem with the muscles in his legs or tightness in his legs. He's trying to stretch that out with the athletic trainers on the sideline as we speak. As this one really goes down the stretch, it's going to be a matter of can the Rams keep up and win a war of attrition.
Absolutely right, Colin. A couple banged up Rams. We saw Abdou Sambila get knocked in the face area for the second time in a row. And as you said, Ramad Dean seems to be battling something as well. But Chris, 15:45 to play. Fordham leads VCU 42-40. And if you remember, the first time these two met back on Rose Hill, it was a 75-60 win for VCU on the road. And in that second half, they just got out and ran. And Fordham has limited VCU. They've held them from that run, but still it feels like VCU is waiting for that run to occur.
Yeah, Miles, they've taken 2 more shots than the Rams in this half, so they're outpacing Fordham now.
And Scholga flips it into the hands of Nelson. Nelson can't handle the pass. It'll be the backcourt violation. And the Fordham Rams force the turnover here. 15:36 to play. 42-40 is the Fordham lead with the basketball.
They created an opportunity for themselves, Miles, and it led to Keith Ergo screaming something at the team positively that I can't repeat on air, but I will say that now they have to capitalize on this opportunity. Like we said, the Rams know how to make chances for themselves, but they've got to take them.
Medor on the A10 logo, hands off for Will Richardson. The masked Will Richardson drives in, kicks right corner for Josh Rivera. Rivera will drive himself, swing it over left side. Richardson, left corner, 3, and he got it. Will Richardson rattles it home, and Fordham a 5-point lead here, 45-40. 15-12 to play. The undersized guard, Jason Nelson, to lock it up. He'll hand it off for Bairstow, the Aussie big at the top of the circle. Bairstow bounces right corner here for Max Scholga. Scholga has to pick up his dribble, bounces inside for Lowell, and Josh Rivera got caught on the pump fake, went fully horizontal on Lowell in the air, and 2 free throws coming now for two-boy Lowell.
Yeah, Toby Lowell, Miles, is really physical and strong. I think Rivera got a little psyched out by seeing him get the ball down low. He didn't want to be part of another posterizing jam. So he said, let me get up in the air and see if I can do something about this. The problem, his stomach was balancing on Lowell's head by halfway through the play.
So Lowell stands at the free throw line. Cool, calm, collected, but rattles out off the left side iron. So no good there. The Fordham lead will hold at 45-40. And of course, Chris, this one is for an opportunity to play in the quarterfinals tomorrow at 2 p.m. versus UMass. And one of these two teams will have their season ended today. Now, it doesn't really seem like it based on the energy of the crowd, but down the stretch, the last few minutes, it's been picking up a little bit.
And UMass is a team, Miles. You think VCU's scary having a first-team player. Well, they've got 2 of those babies because Josh Cohen and Matt Cross qualified for the first team, all A10.
Jaffe Medor will now cross the timeline, moving left to right off the made free throw. It's 45-41. Fordham the lead and the ball. Richardson, top of the circle, angles his way to the right arc. Chest pass over to Ramad Dean. Dean overhead pass to Gray. Gray top of the key, no good on the triple. Strong off the heel, and Ramad Dean taps the rebound into the hands of Richardson. And the Fordham Rams will earn another possession, but it will be blown dead here by our referees. The shot clock did not reset, if I'm not mistaken. And exactly right. They'll add 10 more seconds to the shot clock. 14:33 to play, 27 on the shot clock instead of 17. And now it'll be the far sideline inbound for Kyle Rose and the Fordham Rams in the Maroons. They lead here on day 2, 45-41.
Fordham sizing back up. It's Medora to the bench in favor of Antrell Charlton, their leading assist man.
Antrell Charlton leans in on the A10 logo. Max Scholga harassing him. Bounces it into the hands of Will Richardson. Richardson angles his way to the right side and skip pass over to Antrell Charlton. Antrell Charlton dribble drive from the left side, and it's swatted back by Lowell. Rebound into the hands of Scholga in transition, VCU, and it'll be Bearstown swatted out of play onto the bucket. Ramad Dean came flying out of nowhere and has rejected that one, but of course, last touch, Ramad Dean. It'll be VCU basketball on the offensive baseline. They trail by 4, 14-13 to play.
To give our listeners a visual, since this is radio, Dean looked like a flying squirrel there, just gliding in and swatting that into the third row of the band.
Scholga swings in on Elijah Gray and has to reset. 15 seconds to shoot. Scholga drives in on Gray. Step back at the top of the key. Got the triple to fall. Not an ounce of rim there for Max Scholga, and VCU back within one now, 45-44. Will Richardson out across the timeline at the top of the key. Hands it off for Antrell Charlton. Charlton running the offense, bounces it into the hands of Richardson. Richardson on the lefty slot, dishes for Gray. Gray top of the key, triple, no good. Off the right side, Max Scholga the rebound. 45-44 Fordham. Scholga swings it into the hands of Bamasil. Now back to Jackson. Jackson at the top of the key for VCU. 13:23 to play. It's a 1-point lead for Fordham. Jackson at the top of the circle. Elijah Gray now switches onto him. Crosses over left to right. Gets by him. The righty floater strong. Going for the rebound now. Will Richardson taps it into the hands of Scholga. VCU another try. Over to Bearstown. Left arc three. Bearstown short off the left side. It'll be the foul going for the rebound. Kyle Rose draws the contact from Toibu Lowell. And it's going back Fordham's way. They successfully get the stop after a couple offensive rebounds. Fordham 45, VCU 44. 13:03 to play.
Yeah, now VCU's got to watch it, Miles, because their team fouls slowly ticking up. Both of these sides have 3 fouls in the first 7 minutes of this half, and that is not optimal. I think now 4 for VCU.
And now Fordham scoreless the last 2:16 of basketball time. They still hold on to a narrow advantage. 45-44 Fordham, 12:58 and ticking. And Charlton, the knee-high dribble as he crosses the stripe on the right side. Charlton, a burst of speed, cuts down the lane, swings it out, backside for Richardson. Left arc Richardson, no good, strong on the triple. Abdu Simbila tied up with Zeb Jackson. It'll be the jump ball called, and Fordham has the possession arrow, so staying here for Fordham. 45-44 Fordham Rams. 12:43 to play with the basketball. The boys in maroon with it.
Yeah, Abdu Simbila, the 2 fouls early in the first half, but he's got 4 points and 3 rebounds on a perfect 2 of 2 shooting. Here's Ramad Dean swapping out for Antrell Charlton to be the trigger man, so Charlton will inbound.
And our ref hands off for Antrell Charlton. Charlton passes into Kyle Rose, and now Antrell Charlton will start the possession at the top. Angles his way to left side on the Abdu pick. Finds Richardson, left arc three, and Will Richardson, the hero of yesterday, gets it to go, and it's a 48-44 lead for the Fordham Rams.
He's 2 of 5 from downtown now.
Bamasil looking for the answer, and he's got it. Right corner triple, that is Joe Bamasil, and VCU right back within 1. Trading threes here from Barclays, and now Charlton to walk it up with a little bit less pace this time. Over on the half-court stripe, finds Will Richardson. Now Kyle Rose outside on the lefty slot. Takes the Abdu screen, dumps it down low. Abdu open under the cup. Couple hesitations, and he gets it to go with the right hand. Abdu Simbila has Fordham back on top 3, 50-47.
I think Abdu Simbila may have almost turned that ball over 3 times before eventually scoring it. A roller coaster of a play from him, but it ended in 2 points. What else can you ask for, Miles?
Zeb Jackson, left arc, fakes the 3, finds Scholga. Scholga at the top of the circle, drives down the right side of the lane, and he hesitates and gets it to fall. Off the window and down out of the right hand of Scholga. And now Fordham just that 1-point lead once again, 50-49. Richardson bounces into the hands of Antrell Charlton. Charlton on the A10 logo, calls out for the Abdu screen. Tries to take advantage, drives down and skips it high for Dean. Dean left arc 3, no good. just grazes the left side of the iron there. Barely made contact with the rim. Zeb Jackson, the board, looking to do it all himself. Drives inside, and he'll draw the contact out of Ramad Dean. Zeb Jackson, the scoop attempt, no good, but he will draw the contact. Ramad Dean, the guilty party, and now Fordham just a 1-point lead, 50-49. 11:04 to play in regulation.
That's Dean's second foul, Miles, so something for him to watch. There's still 11 minutes left, and Fordham needs a whole lot more. Ramad Dean, if they want a shot in this one, you can see even though he missed that last three-pointer pretty badly, it was such a quick release. He's able to get his shot off at a rate that you were saying earlier. Lots of Rams can shoot the three. No one shoots faster than number 2, Ramad Dean. It's a catch and shoot, and it takes about 0.3 seconds.
Fordham 50, VCU 49. We'll take a quick break here from downtown Brooklyn. 11:04 to play here on day 2 at the A10s. But with that, we'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios for a scoreboard update with Ben Oppenheimer.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Stepping outside of the A10 and looking at some games being held later today at MSG in the Big East tournament, the Musketeers face off against the Bulldogs at 4:30 as Xavier is hoping to hold off Butler. Both teams have had the exact same record in conference play with a 9-11 record. Next up at 6:30, a struggling Georgetown Hoyas team is looking to pull off a historic upset over the Providence Friars. Providence went 500 on the season in conference play, while Georgetown went 2-18. Then, for the last Big East game of the day at the Garden, Villanova fans are anticipating a thumping of the Wildcats over the Blue Demons as Villanova plays the Owen 20 DePaul at 9 p.m. All 3 games will be broadcast on FS1. Now heading over to the Big 12, the number 20 ranked BYU Cougars beat UCF today with a final score of 87-73. Despite the strong performance of Knights guard Darius Johnson, who had 32 points while going 6 of 8 from deep, BYU was able to steal the game with contributions from multiple players. Oklahoma faces off against TCU today in a battle between the Lone Star State and its northern neighbor as the Sooners are up 12-6 versus the Horned Frogs. At 7 p.m., the 8-10 Wildcats are set to play the 9-9 Longhorns as Texas is favored to win in advance versus Kansas State. And for the last Big 12 matchup of the day at 9:30 p.m., the number 16 ranked Kansas Jayhawks are playing the 7-11 Cincinnati Bearcats, which will be broadcast on ESPN2. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Ben Oppenheimer.
And welcome back inside the Barclays Center. We're now going to be joined by the third member of our group, Colin Loughran.
Although he hit the shot that sent Fordham to overtime against Davidson yesterday, it's been a struggle for Kyle Rose over the last few games. He seemingly found his groove today and has nailed 4 3-pointers. Prior to today, he was 1 for his last 10 from range. Very uncharacteristic for a player who's worked so hard on his offensive game. If things go down to the wire in this second-round matchup, it certainly wouldn't be too surprising to see the kid from Maryland end up with the ball in his hands at a critical moment.
Very true, Colin, and 4 threes. I'm glad you mentioned that because I didn't know he was up to 4 myself. But man, oh man, Kyle Rose heating up. 2 of 2 out of the right hand of Bamisil there on the free throw. So Fordham in a tie ball game now with VCU 50-50. Zeb Jackson pokes it out of the hands of Antrell Charlton as he walks it up. Zeb Jackson, coast to coast on Charlton, rises with the right, and he's well short off the glass. Ramad Dean clears the Fordham board and ahead to Medor. Medor steps into it from 15, no good. Strong off the left side of the iron. Sholga pulls down the VCU board. It's a tie ball game, 50-50. 10:34 to play here from Barclays Center. Sholga looks to get the pass to Furman, and it's picked off. Up top for Simbila. Simbila loses the pass, but he regains onto the bucket. Finishes off the right side of the window and down. And Fordham on top now, 52-50, 10:16 to play.
Look at Abdul Simbila, 2 games in a row. He leaks out in transition and capitalizes for the Fordham Rams.
John Bairstow at the top of the circle, angles to the right arc, crosses between the legs, finds Bamisil. Bamisil, top of the circle, 3, no good. Strong off the heel, Ramad Dean, another rebound. He's been key all A10s when it comes to the boards.
He's up to 5 boards, Miles. We know he had 6 last time out, so he's definitely contributing on the glass.
Medor on the A10 logo, 9:45 and ticking. It's a 52-50 lead for Fordham. Joe Bamisil taps it out. A play on the far sideline out of the hands of Will Richardson. Took out a ref on his way to the far sideline. It'll be last touch Joe Bamisil. And he was bracing for a fall, and he took out the referee. Everyone looks to be okay. It will be Fordham basketball on the far sideline. Still a narrow 2-point lead with 9:42 to play in regulation.
It was like a scene out of a bad movie, Miles. You saw the players start to fall, and the referee realizes, oh, I'm going to be caught up in this, aren't I? He goes down into the scorer's table as well.
And now a far side referee who just got taken out. A few words with Keith. They're trying to iron something out, but it looks like we're all set. He'll hand it off to Antrell Charlton. Charlton into Richardson, and we're back underway. 9:40 to play, 8 seconds to shoot. Richardson down the right side of the lane, and the scoop lane falls off the glass and in, and Fordham a 54-50 lead. 9:29 to play. Here's Max Scholger, the first team all A10 selection, to walk it up now for VCU in white. He finds the Aussie and Bairstow over to Bamisil. Bamisil over to Bairstow once again in the left corner. He'll find his man and get it back. Bairstow, left side drive over on Elijah Gray. Hesitates under the bucket on the second try. He gets it to go. A pretty hesitation and a pretty finish. 54-52. VCU back within 2.
Yeah, you got the Gray-Rivera front court right now showing their offensive prowess, but also their lack of defensive discipline. Both of them jumping for joy in the restricted area.
Richardson, right arc three, strong off the right side of the iron. Bamisil clears the VCU board. Looking to go coast to coast. He'll push up and find his man down low. Kissing it off the glass is Christian Furman from the right block. 54-54. We got another tie ball game with 8:35 to play.
Furman was a non-factor. 3 fouls, 0 points, 0 shots taken prior to now. Now he's got 1 of 1 on his stat sheet.
And the VCU faithful on their feet now. Medor, top of the circle, 3, no good. Off the left side of the iron, Zeb Jackson, the VCU board on the weak side. Just pass up top for Bairstow, handoff for Jackson. Jackson thought about the 3, he'll find Scholga stuck in the right corner. Scholga looking to go to work on the much smaller Jaffe Medor. Back to the basket, he'll bounce it into the hands of Furman. Furman back to Scholga. Scholga on the right elbow, leans in and finds his man in Bairstow. Bairstow, 9 to shoot. Bairstow down the right side of the lane, spins on Rivera, no good. Off the left side of the iron, but the rebound down low. Christian Furman, and he can't get the putback. Gets it on the second time, and he'll get fouled rising on the right side. 2 free throws coming for Christian Furman, the 5 down low. And that will bring us to our under 8 immediate timeout. 58-58 our score. 7:49 to play here from Barclays. This is Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
Hi, my name is Ryan Rucco, WFUV class of 2008. WFUV is your home for all things Fordham athletics, with live coverage of Fordham football, Fordham men's and women's basketball, in addition to our Saturday show, One-on-One. Stay right here on 90.7 FM for all things WFUV sports.
To 54, the Fordham Rams in a tie ball game here from the Barclays Center with the VCU Rams. 7:49 to play. I'm Miles Grossman alongside Chris Persiard. And Chris, 7:49 for the rest of the year. It's a tie ball game. And man, oh man, the Fordham Rams looking to live another day. We saw that March Madness out of Will Richardson yesterday. Today, the hero has been Kyle Rose. And really, no one stepping up immediately behind him. But Kyle Rose up to a game-high 16. He's the one leading the way offensively for Fordham.
And the Rams still outpacing VCU in regards to how many shots they're getting up. They've taken 4 more than their fellow Ram counterparts. And in the second half, Fordham's 3 of 11, VCU's 3 of 7. So Fordham getting 4 more shots off is certainly impressive. VCU just 2 more free throws, but the Fordham Rams aren't taking advantage of those shots. They need to start hitting some. And like we spoke about at halftime, Miles, that variance is going to hit them like a truck, shooting 50% from the floor, 55% from deep. Just doesn't seem too sustainable when you're a 40% field goal team and a 31% three-point team for the season. Now the Fordham Rams are shooting 38% from the floor and 27% from downtown in the second half. You're seeing those numbers start to even out. What's keeping them in it, though, is the defensive intensity. And that front court of Josh Rivera and Eli Gray, not the strongest at uplifting that intensity. So you see Coach Ergo had to make a change. There's Ramad Dean and Abdou Tsimbila at the 4 and 5 spots.
So substitutions down low here for the Fordham Rams at the under-intermediate timeout. Christian Furman stands at the free throw line for VCU. He's good on the first, and that gives VCU their first lead in a few minutes, 55-54. VCU on top. Christian Furman at 6'10", just in his sophomore campaign. He's one of the very few returners. He actually won the tournament with his team last year in this building. But they added a lot of transfer talent, and that's really a whole new group in VCU coming out of the portal, but he's no good there. 55-54. Going the other way, Kyle Rose down low on the left block. No good with the left hand. Strong on the layup. Bairstow the rebound ahead. Right corner, Zeb Jackson the rebound. Couldn't hit from the right arc, pardon me. And Will Richardson will snatch it up and push left to right here for the Fordham Rams. 7:18 to play. Will Richardson splits two on the A10 logo, swings it right side for Rose. Rose up top for Charlton. Charlton, the low post entry for Abdou. Abdou back to the basket, left arc, draws two defenders, and he traveled. It was either going to be a foul or a travel, and they say Abdou dragged the pivot. It's going back VCU's way here with 7:08 to play. 55-54, VCU the lead and the basketball.
Miles, it's after plays like that that the Rams' mantra of attitude becomes paramount. Next play mentality is so crucial and integral here if they're going to win this game. They're now down by one. This is a change and a turn of events.
Bairstow at the top of the circle. Knee-high dribble with the right hand. Drives down the right side, and he's no good. Short, Lowell looking for the putback, and he'll get fouled down low. Toibu Lowell, once again, aggressive down low. He'll be headed to the free throw line, and that'll stop the clock with 6:48 to play. VCU 55, Fordham 54.
Keith Ergo making his case to the officials, saying, look, the two hands were up. He didn't bring them down. They stayed up. Down the other end, they're swiping at my guys, and they're not getting whistled, so why are we getting whistled down the other?
And Lowell has made a living at the free throw line. Good on the first. Make him 6 of 8 on the day. And Toibu Lowell is an aggressive big that knows how to lean in and get to the free throw line.
There isn't a Fordham Ram that's even attempted 6 free throws today, and Lowell's made 6 free throws out of his 8 attempts. The Ram who's made the most is Medor. He's 3 of 4.
So a 2-of-2 trip out of the right-handed Toibu Lowell. And now it's a 57-54 VCU lead. 6:48 to play. Antrell Charlton moving left to right. Leans in on Joe Bambasil at the top of the key. Angles away to the left arc. Spins around and finds Dean. Dean at the top of the key. Back to Charlton. Charlton, right arc now. It's Jameer Tripp. Jameer Tripp, 15 to shoot now. Jameer Tripp hesitates, drives in on the A10, muscles his way in on Bairstow and rises with the right hand from the left block. And it falls there for Tripp. Fordham within one. 57-56 VCU.
There's Tripp's first made field goal. He hit 2 free throws earlier, but now up to 4 points on 1 of 4 shooting. Yesterday, he didn't shoot as well. He was 0 of 4.
Bairstow, the 6'8" Aussie, back to the basket on the mid-post, and he traveled. Surely traveled as he backed his way down on Kyle Rose, and it's going back Fordham's way with 6:06 to play. Fordham trails by a sole point, 57-56. And VCU over their last 5 field goals. No field goals in the last 2:35. That Fordham defense ratcheted up a notch.
Yeah, Keith Ergo will always tell his players to only focus on the defensive end of the floor because he knows the offensive principles are ingrained into these Rams' brains. They know how to run their plays. They know their sets. They just have to focus on defense. The other side of the ball will come along and come around for them.
Antrell Charlton lets the ball roll near the half-court stripe as he picks it up now. 6 minutes to play. Charlton steps into the mid-range. Jay from the left side, strong off the heel. Scholga the weak side rebound, and he'll cross the timeline himself, moving right to left. Scholga, waist-high dribble now, crosses right to left. 5:45 to play. A VCU lead, 57-56. Scholga with Tripp switching onto him. Now right arc. Finds Bamisil. Bamisil top of the key. They'll have to reset. 10 seconds to shoot. Joe Bamisil on the outside. Abdu switches onto him, and Bamisil draws contact down low. They'll say the leg of Abdu. And that did not look like a foul there. It looked like Bamisil tripped on his own feet. But it will be the foul on the floor, and that will bring VCU into the single bonus now with 5:32 to play. So a 1-and-1 coming for Bamisil. 57-56, the VCU advantage.
Yeah, Miles, Fordham now waiting their turn to get into the bonus. We'll see if VCU commits enough harm for that to happen, but right now it's those golden Rams, those golden yellow Rams with the foul advantage. Bamisil traveled when he caught the ball on this play, went uncalled, and now he gets the benefit at the line.
And the little ball don't lie there as the front end rattles in and out at Bamisil. A high major player at Virginia Tech, George Washington, Oklahoma, then here is on his fourth stop, but he can't hit the free throw, and now just a 57-56 VCU lead. Antrell Charlton, right arc, just pass up top for Kyle Rose. Rose drives in, and he'll get slapped on the floor. It's old boy Lowell. The guilty party on the reach, and his physicality has definitely intensified down the stretch. It'll be the near sideline inbound. As you said, the Fordham Rams not in the bonus yet. VCU 57, Fordham 56. 5:14 to play. The near sideline inbound at a trip.
For Fordham fans, it's exciting to have the ball down one, but last time they didn't make the most of it. Charlton forced a bad shot.
Abdu Simbila down low, and he'll rise, and he'll get fouled by Shulga. It was almost a special two-hand slam. He couldn't finish it off, and he's horizontal on the deck now as teammates help him up. And it will be 2 free throws for Abdu Simbila and a chance to regain the lead for Fordham here with 5:05 to play.
Yeah, teammates plural helped Simbila up, Miles. It's funny when Abdu falls, not because he fell, but because you need about 4 Fordham Rams out there to help pick him up. 6'9", 245, what he's listed at, but I would believe it if he were 250, 255, and he's added some muscle throughout this season.
And Abdu Simbila was the all-defense selection in the preseason poll. Of course, did not earn the selection in the regular season, but he rattles home the free throw off the left side of the iron and in. It's 57-57, 5:05 to play.
And he was 3 of 4 from the line just yesterday, going 1 of 2 late in a crucial scenario that could have tied the game. Of course, then it needed to be Kyle Rose who made that basket to send it to overtime. Abdu came through halfway in the clutch, but not all the way. Now he gets a chance to fix that.
And Simbila good on the second free throw, making a 58-57 Fordham lead. 5:05 to play, and of course a high-stakes match between the VCU Rams and the Fordham Rams. One of these two sets of Rams will have their season ended in 5:03, Chris. That's not that long.
A mid-size lineup for Fordham. Charlton, Tripp, Rose, Dean, and Rivera, the 5-man. So we'll see how this plays out defensively. They've got size, but not down low.
Zeb Jackson, the waist-high dribble, dishes it over to Shulga and gets it back on the near side forecourt. Chest pass over to Shulga. He'll flip it back to Jackson, and Jackson leans in on Jameer Tripp and draws the contact on the right arc. So that'll stop the clock with 4:44 to play, and now it's a bonus situation the rest of the way for the VCU Rams. So Zeb Jackson, a 1-and-1 here, trailing by 1.
Yeah, Jameer Tripp committed the harm there, his first foul of the game, but it's less about foul trouble at this juncture and more about the bonus, the 1-and-1. It's 3 4s on the clock, Miles, 4-4-4, and every shot becomes quite important now.
And Zeb Jackson, good on the first of 2 free throws, earns the second. When you take a look at Abdu, he just removed a pretty big ice pack from his right side of his forehead. He got bumped in the eye area earlier, got bumped in the nose yesterday, had the bloody nose, had to check off, check back on. But he is taking a beating here in the A10s.
What I want to know is how Becca gets the blood stains out of the jersey soaked. Like, she's got to have like lime juice in a spray bottle, Miles, because Abdu was pristine and in the all-white unis about 30 seconds after bleeding all over his jersey.
I think there's a special eyedropper for that exact purpose, believe it or not. Here's Antrell Charlton outside on the left arc coming off the made free throw. It's 59-58, VCU the lead. Jameer Tripp outside on the right arc, flips it into the hands of Josh Rivera. Rivera top of the key, finds the cutter in Rose. Rose steps through the lane and he got his pass picked off. So boy Lowell continues his activity on both ends, and now Max Shulga to push into the offensive set. VCU the advantage 59-58, 4:09 and ticking here from Barclays. Shulga crosses over right to left. Josh Rivera switches onto him, and Shulga wants the one-on-one. Bounces into the hands of Bamisil. Bamisil cuts baseline from the right side. He ought to pick up the dribble. Swings it over to Bairstow. Bairstow in the left corner. Has to pick it up and finds Jackson on the left arc. 2 seconds to shoot. Jackson rises as the shot clock expires, and it'll be the shot clock violation. Zeb Jackson leaned in looking for the contact, didn't get it, and it'll be the shot clock violation with 3:48 to play. VCU a narrow lead, 59-58.
Jackson left a lot of sweat on the floor to clean up. He had a bit of a controlled tantrum after not getting the call, slamming the floor with both hands like a toddler who couldn't buy the toy he wanted. But listen, I understand the frustration. If I was playing for my season, I'd probably be screaming and yelling if I didn't get a foul call. The thing, though, is I'm not too good at basketball. That's why they've got me in a suit.
And the Fordham Rams holding VCU pretty silent as of late. 0 of their last 6 field goals, 2 of their last 10. And the Fordham Rams back within just one. VCU 59, Fordham 58. But with that, we'll send it once again back to our Rose Hill studios for a scoreboard update with Ben Oppenheimer.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
We're going to head over down to the Sunshine State, where many spring training games are being held in the MLB. First off, the Detroit Tigers beat the Philadelphia Phillies today with a final score of 4-1. And the Tampa Bay Rays beat the Minnesota Twins 4-3. The St. Louis Cardinals played the Twins B team as the Twins split squad ended today's game with a stalemate in a 1-1 tie game. The Washington Nationals beat the Miami Marlins 2-1. Heading over to current games being played, the Toronto Blue Jays are crushing the Pittsburgh Pirates, as the current score is 10-2 in the bottom of the 7th. For all you fans of the Bronx Bombers out there, the New York Yankees are currently trailing the Boston Red Sox 9-4, as Boston looks to wrap this one up in the bottom of the 8th. For the 4 p.m. games that are about to begin shortly, we've got the Seattle Mariners playing the LA Dodgers, the LA Angels playing the Kansas City Royals, the Cincinnati Reds playing the San Francisco Giants, and the Chicago Cubs playing the Cleveland Guardians. The Atlanta Braves will play the Baltimore Orioles at 6:10 p.m. in a matchup between 2 teams that made the postseason last year. And last but not least, the New York Mets are set to play the Houston Astros also at 6:10 p.m. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Ben Oppenheimer.
And welcome back courtside at the Barclays Center. It's crunch time in this round 2 matchup at the A10s between the Fordham Rams and the VCU Rams. VCU 59, Fordham 58. We're now going to be joined by the 3rd member of our crew, Colin Loughran.
Senior Antrell Charlton has been one of Fordham's most outspoken leaders this season, and his playmaking and mid-range shooting have made him one of the team's more versatile threats. It's not been his day thus far, though. He's 0 of 3 from the field and has only recorded 1 assist. If there was ever a time that Fordham needed someone like Charlton to make a few key assists, this may be it.
And thank you very much for that, Colin. Back underway here at the Barclays Center. It's Antrell Charlton stuck in the left corner. Drives in and kicks it up top for Kyle Rose. Kyle with 16 seconds to shoot. Now draws the attention from Jackson. Muscles his way inside, and he'll draw the contact on the dribble drive. So 2 free throws coming for Kyle Rose now, and another opportunity to regain the lead here, 59-58. 3:29 to play. Kyle Rose trots to the free throw line.
And Miles, I got a chance to just look at Abdou Tambila's right eye during that last timeout. I mean, it's red like the Target logo. I don't know what else to tell you. That eye is completely bloodshot. He must have really gotten poked. Something else I want to note here.
It's also a bit swollen. You can almost tell from here.
You can see from all the way over
Literally.
here.
As Kyle Rose strong off the heel. No good on the first of 2 free throws, so the VCU lead holds at 1.
Something else I want to note here, Miles. Rose will get a second free throw because it was a shooting foul, but going forward, it'll be 1-and-1s for the Fordham Rams. That's 17 fouls for the VCU Rams now at this juncture. With 3 minutes and 29 seconds to go in the second half, Fordham will be able to start benefiting from that same kind of advantage that VCU has had all along. The problem is they have 8 fouls themselves. If they commit 2 more, it'll be double bonus.
Both sides in the bonus. Kyle Rose cans the second free throw, and it's a 59-59 tie once again with an opportunity to keep the season alive and play tomorrow on the line. 59-59, 3:18 to play. Here's Max Shulga, right side forecourt. angles his way to the top of the key, drives inside on Rivera and loses control, and that'll be the contact whistled as he drove inside. And now you can tell the VCU attitude is pretty consistently just try and drive inside and draw contact.
Yeah, the foul was on the floor there, Miles. So Shoga will get a 1-and-1 because Fordham's in that bonus. And remember, I just said if they commit 2 fouls, VCU gets to the double bonus. Well, now they're halfway there. They're living on a prayer for the last 3 minutes and 11 seconds of this one.
So Max Shulga, the first team all A10 selection. It was just announced yesterday. Born in Ukraine, 3 years at Utah State under head coach Ryan Odom. And now when Ryan Odom got the call to take over the VCU program, he brought a couple players with him. First of all, his son, and then Max Shulga and Sean Bairstow. And Bairstow and Shulga have been 2 key pieces for VCU all year long. Rises on the second free throw, and he gets it to fall. 61-59. VCU the lead. Antrell Charlton to walk it up, moving left to right. 3:08 to play.
And Miles, Fordham now 4 of 6 on free throws in the second half. VCU 9 of 13. They're stopping the clock and adding points to their total while they're at it.
Kyle Rose at the top of the circle, drives down the left side lane. He'll be fouled. And so now a 1-and-1 coming here for Kyle Rose. The guilty party there will be Max Shulga. And now this is going to be a real free throw routine the rest of the way. 2:55, Chris, and expect quite a few more stoppages and quite a few more trips to the line.
Yeah, Fordham's up to 9 team fouls in the second half. VCU now up to 8. And look at Fordham. Right after I said they've taken about half as many free throws as VCU in the second half, getting to the line once again themselves.
And Kyle Rose had that last-second bucket to send it into OT yesterday. He brings the Fordham Rams back within 1 here with a made lefty free throw. 61-60. The VCU lead, 2:55 to play. One more free throw coming for the veteran Rose, making his 141st appearance as a Fordham Ram, the longest tenured Ram in the history of the program, and he rattles home the second free throw. Back all tied up at 61. We got a timeout here at Barclays, 2:55 to play.
Yeah, Fordham now 6 of 8 from the free throw line in the second half, but let's zero in on Kyle Rose. There are 2 Fordham Rams with double-digit scoring. One of them, Abdul Simbila, his perfect 4 of 4 shooting and 2 of 2 free throw shooting, has him right squarely at 10 points. But Kyle Rose, the game-high 19, 6 of 11 field goal shooting, still 4 of 6 from downtown, and those 3 makes at the free throw line out of his 4 takes bring him to 19 points. But the other side of this, Miles, if we're looking at the stat sheet, we have to draw our attention to the foul column. Kyle Rose, 3 fouls. Antrell Charlton, 3 fouls. Abdul Simbila, you guessed it, 3 fouls. And oh, what's that? Josh Rivera and Ramad Dean, 3 fouls each. So the Fordham Rams have 15 fouls amongst 5 players, 3 each. And those are their 5 most important guys, arguably, outside of Will Richardson, who has just 1.
And Will Richardson, 19 points, a season high yesterday. Of course, he didn't check in that early. I was interested to see how Keith Thurgood managed that. If he was going to give even Will Richardson the start, just given the performance of yesterday. But he checks in midway through the first half, and it'll be interesting to see if he picks up that aggression the way he did yesterday against Davidson. He had that special look in his eyes, Chris. He just didn't want to go home. It'll be fun to see if it's either Rose or Richardson or who gets the ball down the stretch. 2:55, a tie ball game.
Well, Richardson, we know he's just 6'1" and about 170 pounds soaking wet, but he's got 2 offensive rebounds already in this one. So Richardson had 3 games during the A10 stretch of play where he registered 2 blocks. Now he's got 2 offensive rebounds today. Every once in a while, he says, I like to play a little center myself, so Abdul, you take a load off, I got this, and he dives to the paint to get the block. Richardson is not big, he's not tall, but for his size, he's long, he's got wingspan. He puts it to good use, especially on the defensive end.
And Chris, what stuck out to me about this second game is it seems the postseason rotations have been solidified a little bit. Ramad Dean, Abdul Simbila, Jameer Tripp, and then the veteran guards are going to be the starting 5. And then now we know who has made the cut to stay in the rotation for the rest of the way. Josh Rivera, Medora, Richardson, Gray, and Yole Akuwovo wraps up the postseason unit. Keith Thurgood has trusted all all these guys with minutes in the postseason. 255 with the year on the line. It's the VCU Rams in the whites, the Fordham Rams in the maroons, and we're back underway here from downtown Brooklyn. 2:47 and ticking. It's Zeb Jackson on the A10 logo, 61-61. VCU got it. Shulga, chest pass over to Jackson, righty slot. Lobs it inside for Lowell, gets it back to Jackson, right side perimeter. Jackson drives inside and kicks it to Bamasil. 6 seconds to shoot. Here's Joe Bamasil. Looks to draw it back, and Will Richardson too aggressive on the reach. Joe Bamasil headed back to the free throw line, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the double bonus, and Joe Bamasil will be headed to the free throw line for an automatic 2 free throws, and this tied affair, 2:28 to play.
Yes, Miles, the double bonus because the Fordham Rams have committed 10 fouls in this second half. And when you take a look at the game totals, well, Fordham's committed 20 fouls. That's how many they averaged per game during the regular season. It's not a sign of a lack of discipline, but certainly a lack of experience from a lot of their key rotation players. Need to learn a little better how to pick their spots.
And Bamasil no good, strong off the heel on the first. Here's the second, in and out there. 0-2 out of the right hand of Bamasil, and the Fordham Rams escape. 61-61, a tie ball game, 2:20 to play. Charlton to walk it up, and now Ed Cole trying to get the crowd behind the bench on their feet. Kyle Rose, top of the key, dribbles inside on the A10 logo's got to pick up his dribble. Flips it up top for Will Richardson. Richardson on the A10. Leans in on Abdu now. Takes the screen on the left side. Drives in. And it'll be the double dribble. Will Richardson gets called for the double dribble. And he turns it over to the VCU Rams. Still tied. 2 minutes and 2 seconds to play. And now VCU wasting no time. Zeb Jackson to push up and find Max Shulga. Now officially under 2 to play. 1:53 and ticking. Still tied at 61. Here's Zeb Jackson for VCU. Inside for Bairstow. Back to the basket on the A10. Chest pass up top now for Max Shulga. Shulga angles away to the right arc. Crosses between the legs on Abdu. Drives inside. Shulga got Abdu in the air. Rises and he's short on the floater. But he will draw the contact from Abdu Simbila. So 2 shots coming for the first team all A10 selection, Max Shulga.
Yeah, Miles, Keith Ergo was not happy with the official who made the double dribble call on Will Richardson because he did not have the line of sight. It's the same one we talked about earlier who, even earlier in the season, makes calls that he can't really see. He must be confident enough to blow the whistle. I'm not saying he's wrong, but Ergo's just questioning the process of the call, not the actual result.
So Shulga good on the first of 2. VCU back up 1, 62-61. But the Fordham Rams have given the VCU 5 seed all they can handle. Shulga good on the second, 63-61 VCU. 97 seconds to play, and the Fordham Rams in need of a bucket here. Will Richardson rocking the clear mask, crosses the timeline at the top of the key, swings it over to Rose. Rose on the right arc now, picks up the dribble and finds Rivera. Rivera back to Rose, swinging around the perimeter. They'll find Richardson. Richardson back to Rose on the right arc. 10 seconds to shoot. Here's Kyle Rose, crosses right to left, right arc, drives in on Lowell, finds Rivera. Rivera, right arc 3, no good. Strong off the left side. Lowell the rebound on the strong side. And now 1:06 to play. Bamasil bounces it into the hands of Lowell. Almost picked off, but now VCU will cross the timeline successfully. A 2-point advantage and the ball. 63-61 VCU, 53 seconds and ticking. It's Zeb Jackson, right side forecourt, drives in, and the offensive foul pushed off the left arm extension on Kyle Rose, and the Fordham Rams will earn the possession back. 49.2 to play. VCU a 2-point lead, 63-61. It's Fordham ball.
Miles, if there was ever a time to show the world what you're made of, it would be right now in the second round of the A10 tournament. It's Fordham's 3rd straight year here, and they're trying to show they belong.
Will Richardson burst of speed in the offensive set. Ergo immediately calls the timeout. And both sides to the huddle now. 47.9 seconds to play. And the Fordham Rams got a last-second deuce out of Kyle Rose on a left-side dribble drive yesterday to send things into overtime. Now 47.9 to play. They trail by 2 in need of a bucket.
Miles, something important to note from the stat sheet. You take a look at VCU. They've got 9 team fouls here in the second half. So for them, any future errors in these next 47.9 seconds is going to result in a double bonus for the Fordham Rams. Now, they're not going to have nearly as much of an opportunity to take advantage of that kind of situation as VCU has in this second half, but you take a look at what's happening on the court, and Fordham could use that double bonus for sure, down 2 points with 48 to go.
And Elijah Gray just got the word from Keith Ergo. He's going to be checking in at the next whistle. So our far side referee just waiting for the huddles to break on each side, and you can really feel the tension starting to brew. The first half is a relatively dormant crowd, but now everybody on their feet behind the Fordham bench. Same goes for behind the VCU bench. One of these two teams will have their year ended in 47.9 seconds of basketball time. 63-61, the VCU advantage, and Fordham in need of a big bucket here. Kyle Rose was the last-second hero yesterday. Will Richardson was the leading scorer. And I'm pretty confident Kyle Rose and Will Richardson, one of those two names, is going to get a shot here, and it could be a big difference maker, Chris.
Well, Miles, you also got to watch out for both Josh Rivera and Elijah Gray, the offensive front court that Keith Ergo likes to run out for this Rams team, because if one of them can leak out down low and get open, that's the easiest two Fordham might see all day.
29 seconds on the shot clock, 47 on the game clock. VCU leads 63-61. Will Richardson, the basketball for Fordham. Bounces it into the hands of Charlton, left elbow extended. Angles the way to the right side. Charlton hesitates in on Bairstow. Picks up his dribble and finds Will Richardson. 16 to shoot. Will Richardson, low post entry to Elijah Gray, and he's fouled. Elijah Gray was fouled. It was almost a goaltend. But they'll just say 2 free throws here. It was swatted back as it was close to being on the way down. I know one referee considered it, and now the far side referee taking a peek at it, and the far side referee will head to the monitor. We got the foul for sure. It's about if we have the goaltend and an and-one opportunity for Elijah Gray. So we got 2 scenarios here. 2 free throws for Elijah Gray, or 1 free throw for Elijah Gray. And, of course, the made bucket would tie it at 63 all here. 31 seconds to play, and the refs set to make a big decision at the far side monitor.
Yeah, it was Mike Milione who said the shot was on the way up when Keith Ergo asked for the call right away. So now you've got Tim Kelly and Trey Steins over there at the monitor deliberating, reviewing the play. We're going to get a chance to find out what the decision is here. I think Miles will send him out as scout team, try and read these referees' lips. But in the meantime, these teams are going to be congregating at the free throw line. I think the call
will just be 2 free throws,
shots,
it looks like.
No basket.
So 31.3 to play. They won't get the goaltend call, but Elijah Gray will draw the contact down low, and now trailing by 2. Elijah Gray a chance for 2. Elijah Gray bends the knees. The free throw in and out there. 63-61. The VCU lead will hold with 31.3 to play, and 1 more free throw coming for Elijah Gray.
And you want to watch out with Gray, because Ergo will always say no one's harder on Elijah Gray than Elijah Gray.
And Gray cans the second free throw, brings Fordham within 1 point now. 1 second between the shot clock and the game clock. VCU the basketball in a 1 point lead, 63-62. The full court pressure now for the Fordham Rams. Sean Bairstow the inbound into Zeb Jackson in the backcourt. Bairstow breaks the full court pressure. Kyle Rose dives in on the back of Bairstow, almost to commit the intentional foul, it seems. So 26.8 seconds to play. The shot clock will be off the rest of the way in regulation. And now Bairstow will head to the line for VCU. 2 shots coming now in the double bonus, and already a 1 point lead.
Well, Miles, you take a look at the situation offensively for VCU there. They had 2 shooters, 1 in each corner, and Bairstow barreling down the lane. It was just Abdou Tsambilla back on the defensive end. So Kyle Rose decided, I'm going to take one for the team, commit my 4th foul of the game.
Bairstow in and down on the first free throw. Makes it a 64-62 VCU advantage, and 1 more coming for Bairstow. In his graduate year, 4 years under Owen over there at Utah State, deeply bends the knees, and he gets it to fall. It's a 3-point game now, 65-62. The shot clock is off. VCU leads. Will Richardson pushes into the offensive set, and he'll call the timeout. 24.2 seconds to play. Both sides to the huddle. The Fordham Rams the ball. The shot clock is off. Ramad Dean to check in at the next whistle. We'll take a quick break here from Barclays, but when we come back, the Fordham Rams need a 3 to tie here in round 2 from Barclays.
Hi, this is Michael Kay, WFUV class of 1982. WFUV is your home for all things Fordham athletics, with live coverage of Fordham football, Fordham men's and women's basketball, in addition to our Saturday show, One on One. Stay right here on 90.7 FM for all things WFUV Sports.
Welcome back courtside here at the Barclays Center. VCU leads the Fordham Rams 65-62. 24.2 seconds to play. The shot clock is off. The Fordham Rams have the ball. It's a near sideline inbound. Kyle Rose up top for Antrell Charlton. Charlton on the A10 logo, angles his way over to the left arc. Swings it up top for Kyle Rose. Rose attacks the lane, rises with the right hand, and he's too strong with the righty scoop. Bamasil gets the board and gets immediately fouled. Kyle Rose had a great shot at bringing it within a 1-point game, but now Bamasil is fouled. We'll have 2 free throws for VCU. And with 13.1 seconds, VCU a 3-point advantage and 2 free throws coming. And the VCU faithful behind me can feel it coming now, Chris.
Yeah, Kyle Rose, the lefty shooter, went up with the right hand, and he's converted so many right-handed drives this season. And as I say this, I'm thinking, how are so many people from Virginia here in Brooklyn? They've got a much bigger crowd than Fordham.
Joe Bamasil rises and he rattles home the first of 2. 66-62 is the VCU lead with 13.1 to play.
Really quick, Miles, that last Fordham timeout was their last timeout. So VCU has 3 timeouts left in this one. That's great management from Coach Rhodes.
Bamasil, the dynamic scorer, cans the second free throw. It's a 5-point game, 67-62, 10 to play. Charlton, top of the key 3 in transition, short off the left side of the iron. Lewell with the rebound. He's fouled from behind. And Chris, that's going to do it. 67-62, VCU the lead. And they will head to the free throw line for 2 more, and the VCU crowd behind us fired up here at the Barclays Center.
Miles, they are absolutely loving it. The energy from these VCU Ram fans is palpable here in the Barclays Center. You take a look to your left, and in the far section, it's all gold, Miles. Of course, behind the Fordham bench, a fair deal of maroon, but behind us on the other side of the court, it's all gold, sparse dots of maroon.
And Lowell falls on the first free throw. And the London-born product has been an absolute star for VCU all day. Up to 9 points. Bends the knees. He's done it on both sides all day. He cans the second free throw. 69-62, the VCU lead. Fordham to push up. Richardson at the buzzer. Airballs it there. And here in the Barclays Center, the VCU Rams will march on to play tomorrow in the quarterfinals. But for Fordham, the year is over. And the Fordham Rams will wrap up the campaign 13-20 overall, 6-12 in Atlantic 10 play. They won yesterday to survive to today. But Chris, it's the end of a road for a very special group of Rams.
Yeah, Miles, to have any shot at making the NCAA tournament, the Rams needed to come out victorious in this A10 tournament. You think Dayton and Loyola Chicago were the only 2 A10 teams who could get away with not winning the tournament here in Brooklyn and still get chosen for that March Madness tournament. But now for Fordham, their shot has escaped them. almost literally there at the end with that Rose basket at the rim that just couldn't find the bottom of the net. And so for Fordham, I think they really did accomplish their goal of being the best team they could be by the end of the season. They made it to the second round of the A10 tournament. Nobody saw this coming because Davidson beat them twice in the regular season.
And we're now going to be joined by assistant coach Henry Lowe. Coach, a little bit of a funky audio setup, so I hope you can hear us like this, but obviously not the way you wanted this one to go, but a lot of passion, a lot of grit. You hang around with a really tough VCU team. A lot to be proud of coming off this tough loss.
We're very proud of our guys. We have a lot of respect for VCU. Tough, hard-fought game. I mean, we were exactly where we wanted to be at the end of the game. Under 4-minute timeout. They executed. We unfortunately missed a couple chippy ones, but that's how the game goes. Super proud of Kyle Rose and our senior class.
Coach, you take a look at the second half. You guys shoot 10 free throws. VCU shoots 23, but you still hung around. How do you teach the guys to adjust to how the game is being called and keep it close?
Mental toughness, just resilience. I think we believe in it. Our guys believe in each other. And we showcased that for 40 minutes. Then I think it didn't go our way. But VCU is a talented team. They're going to do very well the rest of this tournament.
And Coach, this is the third year in the row the Fordham Rams have played at least on day 2. It's a new era here on Rose Hill. Keith Urgo at the helm, Ed Cole, new funding for the program. What does it mean that 3 straight years you're able to create that positive change and make it to day 2 at the A10s?
It means a lot. We have a lot of great support. Ed Cole, our fearless leader at the athletic director position. Just an institution, the student body. I know our guys appreciate it, our staff appreciates it. Fordham's a wonderful place, great community. There's a new era of basketball here, and we're here to stay.
Coach, one final question for you before we let you go into the offseason. Coach Urgo, and we've joked about this before, you guys want to be the best team you can be by the end of the year. I would say you accomplished that goal being here at day 2, but which specific Fordham Ram made you most proud this season with their growth throughout the year?
I've said this before, and I don't think I'll be able to say it enough. Kyle Rose, the senior year that he's had, the growth he's had as a person, not even talking about him as a player, has been tremendous. He's everything that we want to be in a Fordham basketball player. And I couldn't say enough about his character, more about his character. And on the court, he had a pretty good season too, if I might add. So a leading scorer, probably wouldn't have said that if you asked me 3 years ago. Testament to his improvement, the work he's put in. Again, there's no secrets, and we're very proud of him.
Coach, thank you so much for your time. You've been so kind to us all year. We're so appreciative. Always the time of day, win or lose. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks, Miles.
And that'll be Henry Lowe for the final time this year here in the 2023-2024 campaign. The Fordham Rams see the end of the road here at day 2 of the Atlantic 10 tournament. They fall at the hands of the VCU Rams, 69-62. And Chris, it's been a long road to get to this point. Day 2 with the Atlantic 10 tournament. The season is now over. Any initial thoughts?
Miles, I think you have to be excited for the future of this Fordham team. It's a push like this in the A10 tournament that allows you to go to some experienced potential transfer players and say, you can be a piece to this puzzle. We're a team that works together. We're a team that plays tough, nasty, physical basketball, and we're going to help bring the best out of you defensively. We just need you to bring the scoring. So for Fordham, going into the offseason, we know they have Ryan Pettis coming in, the guard, but they need some help at the forward and big man spots, especially given the fact that they might have some graduating players, not return in the form of Kyle Rose, Antrell Charlton, Yole Akawovo, even Albie Evans. They're going to need a new pink Energizer bunny off the bench, maybe Zach Riley or whoever can step up and fill that role. But for now, Miles, it's a Fordham team that I genuinely think should look back and be proud of their growth over the course of this campaign. Even if they didn't start out on the right foot or the right 4 feet to start the season, well, they definitely got into a crawl and then a full sprint by the end of the year.
And Fordham ends the campaign 13-20 on the year, 6-12 in regular season Atlantic 10 play. They beat Davidson yesterday to advance to day 2, but with a loss today at the hands of VCU, the Keith Urgo, or year 2 of the Keith Urgo era, has been completed. 69-62, VCU takes this one. I've been Miles Grossman, our sideline reporter Colin Loughran. He's been Chris Persianen, but for the final time this year, we'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios with a post-game show with Owen, Kelty, and Ben Oppenheimer.
The one-on-one post-game report.
Back here in the Rose Hill studios for our one-on-one post-game report. Owen Kelty, joined by Ben Oppenheimer. And Fordham loses a heartbreaker to VCU, 69-62. What was an offensive showing in that first half turned out to be the opposite of that in the second half. Both teams couldn't score down in the last 10 minutes of that game. VCU didn't score a field goal for the last 8:41. Fordham didn't score a field goal for the last 6:26. It became a free-throw battle in the end, and Fordham just couldn't hang on. A very good showing, as we mentioned earlier. They came into the game as an 8.5-point underdog. All season had been back and forth, wins and losses, but overall, a really good season I think you can look back on for this Fordham team, being able to get to day 2 of the tournament and putting up a good fight versus the 5-seeded VCU.
Well, Owen, they were playing Mr. Brightside by the Killers, the band. I'm not sure if that was our band, our very own Fordham band, or if that was VCU's, but I'm going to try to look on the bright side of this one. This was such a hard-fought game. I think, honestly, people were expecting a different result heading into it and that it would not be close. And the fact that the Fordham Rams, our very own Fordham Rams, were right there in the moment, right there with VCU, I think that they deserve absolute credit for that. I mean, just the fact that they outscored VCU in the first half, and then Fordham got outscored 32-24 in the second. It's just, to me, it was a hard-fought game, but what stands out to me also is the putrid offensive performance, particularly in those last 10 minutes by both teams, but particularly by Fordham. 0 field goals made in the last 6 minutes and 26 seconds. And for VCU, there were no field goals made for 8 minutes and 41
Unbelievable
seconds.
to see in a college basketball game no one scored for that long.
Yeah. I mean, it was so gritty to watch. It's almost like you're watching a rec game. And I don't mean that in offense to the players. I just mean it happened to have been a rough, gritty game to watch. And for me, I think for everyone, if you just look at the stats, what decided this game was the free throws. You look at VCU, 27 for 39. They shot 39.
40 free throws.
Almost 40 free throws. They scored 69 points in total in today's game. 27 of those points were from free throws. That's to me, that's just what the answer is to this game. And VCU kept getting to the line, and Fordham did not, or not nearly as much. And in the end, it was VCU making the free throws at the right time and Fordham missing them at the wrong time. And that's how the momentum went to VCU's direction.
Yeah, at the end of the game there, you mentioned it. It felt like we were talking about this. Whoever scored a field goal next was going to end up winning the game, but neither team ended up scoring a field goal. It came down to the free throw battle. VCU made 14 more free throws, and they only won by 7. I mean, that is the obvious difference maker in this game. 39 free throws, that looks like a Joel Embiid stat line coming out here, putting up 40 free throws in a game, but that's definitely disappointing to see your season come down to a free throw battle. I know, like you said, the offensive output in that second half was atrocious. 21% from 3 in that second half. At halftime, they were shooting 50% from 3. Obviously, you're going to regress a little bit. You're going to regress to the mean, but 3 of 14 in the second half, 21% from 3, and even 7 of 23, 30% from the field. that's where this game kind of went sideways. The VCU, though, wasn't scoring either, so it just came down to that defensive matchup those last 10 minutes, it felt like, and whoever was going to put down the next field goal was going to win the game, but just came down to free throws, and Fordham not being able to make their free throws late in the game, had a chance to tie it, and then just didn't go their way.
Well, offensively speaking, it was a tale of two halves for Fordham, particularly, as you noted, from three-point land. Now in total for today's game, after the conclusion, 9 for 25 from deep for the Fordham Rams, 36% from three. Meanwhile, I remember when we were doing the halftime report only an hour or so ago, or maybe an hour and a half, it was 52%, correct me if I'm wrong, from three.
Yeah.
And so I think that shows
54%.
Yeah. I think that shows a lack of ability to consistently maintain a high-powered offense throughout the game. That's what they've struggled to do throughout the season. But also that VCU, even though they also struggled offensively, they got much better defensively in the second half than the first half. I mean, the first half was a definitely an offensive showdown, so to speak.
Not a lot of defense being played in that first half.
And the second, it was like you just switched the brain on in both teams' heads, and it just became a completely different game and not nearly as pretty of a game. And what I find interesting is both teams finished around the same in field goal percentage in total. Fordham 41% overall from the field, VCU 40%, Fordham 20 for 49 from the field, VCU 17 for 42. And also talking about Fordham's downward spiral in regards to their three-point percentage, you can say the same thing for VCU. They shot 38% on the whole game from three-point land, 8 for 21. So, as I mentioned earlier, Owen, what really just decided this game was VCU was able to shoot and make more free throws. And at the end of the day, when you get those gimme points, that's what wins you crucial games like these.
And you can always go back and look at the shooting percentage, but like you said, those free throws, they're considered free, but you really have to take advantage of that. And even VCU only shot 69% from the free throw line, but just how many they took ended up taking advantage. I mean, Fordham shot 72%, 13 to 18 from the free throw line, which isn't terrible. You'd love to see them be better, but VCU wasn't doing much better at the line. They were just getting to the line more. And then at the half, we talked about who we thought needed to come out in the second half. Will Richardson finished with 8 points on 3 of 10 shooting. So he contributed. He had 0 at the half, I believe. And Kyle Rose ended up leading the game with 19 points. But going forward for this program, I think you really have to look at this season as somewhat of a success because you made it to the second day of the A10 tournament. But with losing all these seniors, where do you think they should go from here? Is it the portal or more recruiting, or do you think they have the guys on this team that can keep stepping up?
Well, there's certainly some promising young guys on this team. Rivera, Richardson. You also look at Ramad Dean. I think there's certainly some reason to be optimistic for next year. But I say the portal is absolutely essential heading into next season. I mean, the portal is how we got Darius Quisenberry and Khalid Moore, who arguably were the two most impactful athletes in Fordham basketball history in the past 30 years. So, and they were not homegrown freshmen. They came in as transfers, as graduate students. And so I think that Keith Urgo and this staff, they should try to run that back and just look to see who they can recruit and who they can get through that transfer portal and see if they can get some people to shore up the holes left in the absence of Kyle Rose, Antro Charlton, as well as others, and just see what happens with that. You know, just try your hand and hope things go well. Unfortunately, even though Kyle Rose had an excellent game today in comparison to yesterday's game, Kyle Rose had 19 points, 6 for 12 from the field. Charlton, unfortunately, I think just did not have the game that he wanted to have, but also that Fordham fans wanted to see. Scoreless in today's game, not taking that many shots either, only 4. And so, 3 rebounds as well as 1 assist. But, as a Fordham fan, you could have wished that Charlton had more production today. But we know the amount of contributions that he's given to this program and how hard that he works. And he'll be missed heading into next year.
Mm-hmm.
And Fordham's just got to hope to have transfers come in and see if they can live up to what our transfers have done this year.
And hopefully they can recreate that rose throw environment. But that is gonna be it for us for the post-game report. Once again, the final score 67-62. VCU wins it. Huge thanks to Miles Grossman, Chris Persian, and Colin Loughran on the call at the Barclays Center. Ralph Barbieri at producer, Kurt Sapella engineer. Our supervising producer was Julia Moss, and the sports director of WFUV is Bobby Chaffardini. For Ben Oppenheimer, I'm Owen Kelty. Fordham men's basketball is a product of WFUV Sports. Everyone have a great rest of your day.